Good evening, everyone. Hello and welcome along to the Sports Corner Live. We are back once again for the Europa League. It's the 5:55 p.m. kickoffs of these extravaganza of round of 16. And well, it's not really an extravaganza, is it? It's fucking shit, if we're being honest. We've only had about 2 games that have been relatively decent in terms of competitiveness. But you never know tonight. Let's put it aside. We've got a few interesting games going on. Maybe if we can get some early goals, and maybe we might have an interesting end, maybe even some extra time, depending on what happens tonight. But without further ado, we've got a full building. Everybody is in the building. Hopefully, fingers crossed, looking forward to if their games can maybe have an early goal. But as always, don't forget to leave a like and subscription if you are new. We are pushing towards 2,000 subscribers. We're 50 away now. 50. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do as we try and push towards our target. Games do kick off in about 5 minutes' time, so we haven't really got much time to be able to go through the teams of the lineup. So we'll go through them now. And of course, we'll bring everybody in as we go along to talk through each game this evening, because it should be quite interesting to see how everything pans out tonight, because we've got 4 relatively interesting games. I'll start off with my match tonight, which is Arsenal taking on Olympiacos. If you watched the last game, it ended 3-1 to Arsenal away from home, actually. It wasn't at home because they were at home today at the Emirates. And as you can see on the screen, it is going to be a 4-2-3-1 for Arsenal once again. Leno is in goal with a back 4 of Bellerin, David Luiz, Gabriel Magalhaes and Tierney. Ceballos will be kind of acting as an attacking midfielder. It could be a 4-3-3 realistically, because you've got El Neni, who scored last week, and Xhaka in there as well. I would assume it's a 4-2-3-1 still. Ceballos acting as a bit more of an attacking player rather than being a holding midfielder, but we'll find out in game. And then up top, Pepe on the right, Smith row on the left with Aubameyang up top. I think there'll be a few people disappointed. Maybe Lacazette didn't start again after scoring at the weekend, but he's on the bench tonight alongside the likes of Gabriel Martinelli, Martin Odegaard and Thomas Partey. You could see Arsenal maybe resting a few players here purely because they have got a 3-1 advantage, as much as Olympiacos need to go for it. So they're going with a 5-2-3 today. Very similar system to what they were using last week. Jose Sarr, who made 1 or 2 mistakes last week, he's in goal once again and looking for a much better performance. A back 5 of Reabciuk as the left wing back, and Androusos as the right wing back, with Holebas, Bar and Socrates acting as centre backs. Interesting to see how Holebas does tonight in a very different position, but I would assume a bit overlapping with Reabciuk at certain points of the game. Kamara and Jan Envia in the midfield. You'll remember Jan Envia last week played as a centre back. Makeshift as Bar was injured, but he'll be in his usual midfield position today with the 3 up top. Masouras, who should have scored last week, is on the right-hand side. Fortunis is on the left. And El Arabi, who has fond memories of the Emirates, he's up top tonight. So that should be an interesting game indeed. That one is 3-1 on aggregate as it currently stands. So it should be an interesting game indeed overall. As we'll move on to our other game, of course, Arsenal taking place tonight at the Emirates. Spurs away from home. This game 2-0 on aggregate to Spurs right now. And joining me for this game tonight is going to be Adam. How are we doing, buddy?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you, Josh?
Not too bad indeed. 2-0 on aggregate right now.
Yeah.
We said last week, didn't we? Tottenham going into Croatia. Quite interesting as well. The manager been sacked recently because he's been arrested for fraud.
Oh, really?
So, very different situation going on. But do you see Zagreb winning tonight? Because I think it's the assistant manager in charge. Or do you think Tottenham will go through?
I think Spurs will go through. But if Zagreb get an early goal here, it could change. I'm surprised Kane's starting, to be fair, after that injury scare he had. Thought they wouldn't risk him this for this game, especially being 2-0 up. But I think because Kane's starting, I think it'll be a win for Spurs.
Yeah, you'd expect it to be. When you look at these two teams on paper, we'll start with the Zagreb lineup. 4-3 today for the Croatian side. Livakovic is in goal. Back 4 of Franjic, Fiopal, Kafrin, Loritz and Ristovski. Midfield 3 of Ademi, Žakic and Lovramaya. And then up top, they've got Mislav Orsic, who's been on fire recently for Zagreb. Bruno Petkovic is in the striker position, and Luka Ivanovic is on the left wing. So going quite attacking, as you would expect them to do. And then, as you said, Adam, Kane's in the side tonight. 4-2-3-1 for Spurs. Lloris is in goal. Back 4 of Sergio Aurier, Davinson Sanchez, Eric Dyer and Ben Davies. You've got Sissoko and Harry Winks as the 2 defensive midfielders, with Dele as the attacking midfielder. Lamela is on the left-hand side. Lucas is on the right. And Kane is up top with a few players on the bench, including Lo Celso, Bale, Bergwijn and Vinicius, to name a couple of players. Prediction for tonight's game, Adam, do you think there's going to be maybe more goals than 2, or do you think this is going to be a bit more even than it was last week?
I think it'll be a bit more even, but I don't think there'll be many goals in it. I'm going 1-0 Spurs.
1-0 Spurs. Hopefully we get a few more goals tonight, because we were lacking them this week. But thank you very much indeed, Adam. We'll bring him back on in a few moments' time as we are about to get underway in some of the games. I will look at your comments as well in a moment's time. But let's move on to our next game on the evening. Shakhtar coming up against Roma. Last week, Will watched this game. They were 3-0 down to the Italian side, but they're home today, and there's a certain player in the team that I know Will will be very happy about. Manor Solomon is in the side. And, well, I can see his reaction. He's fist pumping. And we'll bring him in now. How are you doing, Will? I hope you're all good, buddy.
Yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you?
Not too bad indeed. As we can see with the Roma Shakhtar side tonight, we'll quickly go through it. But first of all, have you got any belief that Shakhtar can get back into this game?
I mean, I've got a slight bit of belief, because obviously I'd rather Shakhtar try and bring it back and make the tie interesting. But if that's coming from my heart, if I'm speaking from my head, I think the tie's done with. I know Roma have gone with the same formation as they did last week. I think they'll just look to do the same, soak up the pressure, hit on the counter attack. You know, Shakhtar dominated the possession last week. It was just in the wrong areas. But they looks like they're going to go a bit more attacking tonight with Solomon back in the lineup and whatnot. And they've still got Tete on the right. So I think they're going to go for it, obviously, but I just can't see them bringing back, a 3-goal deficit without Roma scoring. I think even if Roma score on the night, it'll extend the deficit even more. So I think the tie's over, but Shakhtar are going to give it a go.
Absolutely, it's key that Roma maybe do get a goal tonight, because then it will kill the tie off completely. Shakhtar cannot afford to concede. But when you look at the team, 4-3-3 tonight for Shakhtar, Trubin is in goal, back for Matyevenko, Krivchov, Vitao and Dodo. Midfield three of Maicon, Marcus Antonio and Alan Patrick. With Manor Solomon on the left, Tete on the right, and Juni Mirage up top. As for the Roma team, they've made a few changes this week, resting a few players, as you would expect them to. They're going to be going, I think, tonight, if it wouldn't let me go back onto Chrome. There we go, got there in the end. They're going to be on 3-4-3, as you said before. Paul Lopez is in goal with a back three of Kumbula, Cristante, and Roger Imanez. Spinazzola's on the right mid position. Karsdorp playing as a left mid today, which is a very interesting shout. I'd assume both of those will probably change positions from time to time. Gonzalo Villar and Adamu Diawara are in the midfield, with Perez as the right winger, Pedro as the left winger, and Borja Mayoral up top. It's a Spanish front three tonight for Roma. Will, do you think they're going to bag tonight? What's your score prediction?
I'm going to go with 2-1 Roma on the night. I think Roma will, they'll sweep both legs. They'll get wins on both legs. I think Shakhtar will get a goal tonight. I think Shakhtar will probably score first, make it interesting. But Roma, they're experienced in Europe. They're no strangers to this part of the Europa League competition, even the Champions League a few seasons ago. So I think they'll just kind of see the game out tonight. And I think with the way they're playing, they'll catch Shakhtar pushing it. Shakhtar are going to push for some goals. It'll leave space in behind. And then the likes of Pedro, who was phenomenal last week. I think Roma will get a couple of goals tonight and comfortably go through to the next round.
Hopefully so. Should be an interesting game indeed. Thank you very much, Will. We'll bring Will back in a little bit. Of course, hopefully we get a few more chances in the first half than we did last week. It was a fairly quiet first 45 minutes for him. But let's move on to what is the last game of the night. This game, still, when you look at it, it's one of those matches where I think people might kind of see this as the game where there could maybe be a surprise on our hands. Last week, we saw Mold beat Hoffenheim. It was 3-3 2 weeks ago, in fact. But they did lose last week to Granada 2-0. They were down to 10 men in this game. But who's going to count them out? Yeah, who knows? Joining me for this game tonight, of course, it is Kieran. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right, mate. I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you. First of all, my first question for you, as I've asked the rest of the boys tonight, another one of those games that's 2-0 on aggregate. Can you see Mold getting back into this game?
Do you know what? I'll never say never. I think, it'll be dangerous to say that they've not got a chance at all. But for me, the first leg was there for the taking, and they really dropped the ball on it. They didn't really impress as much as they had in the previous leg. But they didn't need the 2-0 win last time, and they got it over Hoffenheim in the second leg. So you know what? I think they have it in them, but it's a gargantuan task to stop this Granada side at least getting one goal today.
Absolutely, and just like the rest of the games, it's paramount that they go and get the first goal of this match and make sure that Granada don't go and get any, which they've had quite a good record so far, scoring away from home in the Europa League. But let's take a little lineups very quickly as this game has started. We're a few minutes into these matches now. Linda is in goal with a back four of Risser, Gregersen, Briomiak and Pedersen. Defensive midfield two of Arsnes and Breivik. We've got left winger Anderson, right wing we've got Hestad. With Magnus Wolf Ikram, you'll remember him having a bit of a tantrum last week before half-time. And then we've got Sigurdsson up top. And then Granada, they're going to match them 4-2-3-1 on paper today. A few changes from the team that we saw last week. Remember, they were actually missing a few players due to suspension. Those players are pretty much back in the lineup. It's going to be Rui Silva in goal, back forward of Victor Dias, Jesus Vallejo, Domingos Duarte, and Sanchez in the back four. Diaz and Vallejo acting as left back and right back today. Defensive midfield two of Angel Montoro and Maxime Gonalons. We've got Antonio Puertas on the right wing. We've got Kennedy who's back on the left wing. Yangel Herrera acting as a cam tonight, which is good to see. He was out and suspended in the last match. And then 38-year-old Jorge Molina, who scored last week, is going to be in the starting lineup. He'll be hoping he can maybe bag again tonight. And of course, I'm going to have to ask you, Kieran, score predictions for this match.
I think I'll go 1-1 on the night. I think both teams will definitely score. There was a golden opportunity then for Kennedy as he raced through on goal, but there's too many players back for Granada tonight. Yangel Herrera, Angel in the middle. At the back, they've dropped Nguyen Perez tonight, but it's because they've got defenders coming back. A much stronger bench as well. We've not even talked about Darwin Machis, the pacey winger on the bench that they can bring on, but in terms of Mulder, if you're them, you've got to score early and have a bit of luck on your side. But I'll let you know how it goes. It's 4 minutes in, it's still 0-0.
Thank you very much indeed, Kieran. We'll be bringing, of course, all the three boys in and out throughout the stream across the night. Fingers crossed. Let's hope it's not the same situation we had last week, where we were sat there for about 500 years hoping for goals to go in. But there's a look at all of the lineups. We'll bring them across the screen throughout the match. We'll talk through each of the teams once again a little bit later on as we've got an intro here. But I can go through the comments now and talk to you guys tonight. How are we all doing? I hope you're all good. Hope if you've been playing with Cheltenham today with the races, you've come off maybe with some money in the bank, and maybe even tonight you might come out a bit more money, depending on what happens in the Europa League. As James has put, evening Josh, how are we doing? Good result for Luton yesterday. Dad's saying, evening Josh and guys, how are you all doing today? I think the boys will be very good indeed. They'll be hoping there's some early goals, and I'm not too bad myself. Thank you very much. Tubbs in the building as well, my Filipino brethren. How are we doing? He's put, good morning, lads. I predict I'm going to doze off again in a while. Well, don't worry, because I know you put in the comments yesterday you dozed off. You didn't really miss much. And I don't think, depending on what happens tonight, you'll miss much either unless we see something happen fairly quickly in these games. Kyle's in the building as always. He's put, hi, lads. How are you? Not doing too bad. Thank you very much. I hope you're good as always, Kyle. And then James has put, he thinks Arsenal, Spurs, Mould and Roma to go through. Just have a strange feeling that Mould will do a wonder. And do you know what? When you look at the 4 games on paper, they all look kind of not necessarily out of reach. I think if you get an early goal for Olympiacos, Zagreb, Shakhtar and Mould, it makes things slightly interesting. I think we've had a few cases of that in the Champions League this week. Atalanta were in a similar position where their game wasn't done and dusted. They got a goal back, but the momentum just died. And ultimately, if we can get one of these teams to score early on, it'll make for a nice even of action, fingers crossed. Or we're going to be coming out in 90 minutes' time, and I'm going to have sat here probably be speaking for about 70, 80 minutes of it with the hope of a few chances going on the background. So we'll have to see as we are getting into the kind of first 5 to 10 minutes of these matches across the board today. But seeing all the comments in the chat as well, Daz asked, surprised for England squad, Josh, are you happy? I had a slight glance at it. I know there's a few players missing. Trent's missing. I think Wan-Bissaka isn't in the squad. Grealish is out. And I know, of course, he's got injuries right now, which is probably why he's not being picked. But there's a few interesting calls in there. I'm not going to lie. I like the fact Lingard's being called up. I think that's great. We should probably see him get some action at some point, maybe against the likes of San Marino, for example. But there's a few interesting calls in there, and then a few other calls as well that maybe people won't like a look of. But as Kyle's put in the chat, he says most of these games are dead. Will be if certain teams score first. Exactly what we said a moment ago. AC Milan, Man United, and Slavia Prague Rangers are the only two that are in the balance, which will be covered straight after these games tonight. But we are going to have the first yellow card of the game. And I saw Kieran's reaction there. It was one of those where it sounded like it was a nasty tackle, Kieran. First yellow card of the night. Was it bad?
Well, it wasn't even just the one tackle. It was Mulder going forward, and then someone had a bite in the midfield. It was Vallejo, and he went for a scissor tackle. Luckily, the guy escaped the scissor tackle. But then Victor Diaz came along. Mulder player got to the ball first. Victor Diaz just came through and scissored the man. And it was 2 bites of the chair, and it was one of them. I don't know if you heard me, Josh. I just went, oh, twice. It was a proper cruncher to start this game, and it's an early yellow, which, to be fair, I'd be attacking down that wing all day long. You're 5 minutes in. Just keep attacking, because, you know, if the fouls add up, you could see a red card, and it puts Mulder in a good state to kind of attack this if they had 10 men.
Very good indeed. Thank you very much, Kieran. Still 0-0 in that game, but an early card. And we saw last week, if you joined on the stream or if you watched the Mold Granada game, you'll know Mold were in a very similar situation last week. They got themselves a red card with about 25, 30 minutes of the game, and it put the match into Granada's hands. And of course, we saw Soldado score an absolute wonder goal in that game, a really nice volley. So you would expect Mold to be putting pressure on Victor Diaz tonight. He's gone into the book early, and if they can get a few players really going at him tonight, we could see a different situation where Granada go down to 10 men. But we'll have to see, of course, as the game continues on. That is 2-0 on aggregate. Still haven't had the first goal of the night yet. But as you said before, going back to your comment, Kyle, they are the 2 games tonight that right now are the most imbalanced games of not knowing who's going to go through. And don't forget, if you are new to the stream and you've never been here before, we are covering these early fixtures now, but literally 2 or 3 minutes after we've been live, you can join Rowan and KD for a fantastic evening of Europa League action. They're going to be covering both Milan Man United and Slavia Prague Rangers. And then myself and Kyle will be sticking about, and we'll be covering the other 2 matches, which includes Ajax Young Boys as well as Dinamo Kiev against Villarreal. So big game still to come up tonight across the Europa League. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on there. But yeah, should be very good games indeed. We'll talk about those a little bit later on into the evening. As Josh Hill's in the building as well, my fellow Josh. How are we doing? Hope you're good as always, buddy. And he's put in the chat, he's doing well. I know Daz said to him, hi, how are we doing? Good to see you doing all good as always, Josh. As Daz has asked, is the Europa League draw tomorrow as well? It's not tomorrow, Daz. It's just the Champions League tomorrow, which we will be covering on the channel. That's from about 11 a.m., I think, tomorrow. So we'll have a little bit of build up to it, maybe go live at 1:45, 10 to, and we'll talk to the boys on the predictions for the quarterfinals. I know myself and KD were talking about them a hell of a lot yesterday, but we'll definitely have a bit more time to talk about them. So looking forward to that indeed. So stick about on the channel if you haven't been here before. Alex is in the building as well. How you doing, buddy? Hope you're good. He's put Granada on Mold, the feel-good story of this tournament. And I think Granada could surprise and make the semis. They have a team as old as dirt and yet still keep kicking on. Well, do you know what? Fair play to them. They are a brilliant, brilliant squad to watch. And considering that this is their first ever Europa League campaign, how good would that be for them to maybe make the semi-finals? But don't count out Mold yet, because it sounds like Mold have got quite a interesting game on their hands with the early yellow card in that match. But Dad says he's had a good day at Cheltenham. I had a 50-1 third today, 25p each way. Not bad. I mean, it might get you a few Freddos on the board. Can't complain, but every win is a good win. But no, fair play. I've had a few bets on Cheltenham today. Why not? It's only 1 week, Cheltenham. So hopefully if you have been playing along with the horses, you've done good indeed. We would do horse racing on this channel, but I've got no idea what's fucking going on. Try and remember 22 horse names is impossible. But Alexa has put, speaking on the international squads, we are meant to play Portugal on the 27th. And I'm terrified because they have top quality squad, even without Ronaldo. Add him there, and they are even better. I mean, it would be... they've got a good squad, haven't they? That's all you've got to say. You know, take him out of the team. They've still got world-class players around him. I think, you know, they've got Andre Silva, who could come into the side and do, not as good of a job as Ronaldo, but he's a clinical finisher. And I think it'd be very, very interesting to see how it goes down with Portugal, especially when Ronaldo does retire, whenever that will be. As Kyle's just put, both draws on tomorrow, first champions. Oh, it is the Europa as well. I thought it was just the champions tomorrow. I've read the Europa draw is on tomorrow. To be honest, I've got no idea. But I'd assume it is, which means I've got even more graphics making to do. Get in. But no, yeah, we'll cover both of them if they're on tomorrow. But I forgot that we're in the round of 16 as well, aren't we? of the Europa League. So both kind of both tournaments now match up, don't they, in terms of the rounds that they're in. But Daz has put his predictions in the chat. He thinks Arsenal, Spurs, Roma, Molde, United, Rangers, all to go through. As I'm going to stop for a second, because we've got a free kick here for Arsenal in a good position, which Ceballos is going to whip in. And eventually it's cleared away by former Arsenal player Socrates. As Lee's put, do you really have guys that you go to when something happens in the match like a real show? That's mad. We try our best. Production quality, we've always tried to do our very best at, but we've got at least one person tonight covering each game. I'm covering Arsenal Olympiacos. If you are expecting highlights and updates, then there will be a few throughout the night. But of course, because we've got other games going on in the background, it will be a little less likely to hear updates. But don't you worry. When the important chances happen, I'll keep you up to date. I'll probably blow your ears off as well if Olympiacos come back in this match. Zagreb, Tottenham is being covered by Adam. So, of course, we'll bring Adam in a little bit when we've had a few chances in that match. Shakhtar Roma has been covered by Will, which we'll bring Will in later on as well. And then, of course, we saw KL a few moments ago. Molde against Granada, a few early, not necessarily opportunities, but early moments in the game where we've had a yellow card to put Granada under a little bit of pressure. But we're trying our very best tonight. We've always tried with production value. That's the important thing for us. As Lee's put, do you load the comment on screen when you press a button, or is it timed? We use this piece of software, Lee, basically called StreamYard. So whenever the comments come up, I can click on them, like your comment, for example, and it comes up on the screen, which is very nice indeed. So StreamYard's a good piece of kit, and I do recommend if you ever do want to get into streaming and such, and maybe you want to do watch-alongs and things like that, then I really would recommend using StreamYard as a piece of kit, because we were recommended it, and it is a fantastic, brilliant piece of equipment that you can use for free as well. So I'm not going to advertise them too much, because I'd expect a paid sponsorship for them to get any more advertisement out of me. But no, it's very good indeed. So well worth checking it out. As Daz has put Villarreal to go through, and Ajax as well. I think Josh, United, Rangers and Spurs, Roma and Molde. So there's the predictions in the chat for Daz tonight. Of course, we've got a few of the games going in the background. I'm going to stop for a second here, because Emil Smith-Rowe is pushing Arsenal towards their own goal at the Emirates, of course, at home tonight on the right-hand side of the pitch. They'll be hoping that they can get a nice early goal in this game, and it's a ball from Tierney into the box that Socrates clears away in the end, and it won't come to anything. But a nice, lively start in this first 15 minutes for Arsenal. As you would expect, the team well and truly in front in this competition, got a 3-1 aggregate lead. And look, last week I sat here and I said it wasn't the most convincing game in the world. There were little glimpses and moments where Arsenal had a blip. I think especially when they conceded the goal to El Arabi. It really did put Olympiacos in a very good position for kind of 10 or 15 minutes, whether they were better side. But in the end, it worked out in Arsenal's favour, coming to their own stadium at the Emirates. You'd expect them to really put Olympiacos under pressure tonight. And personally, I think this is one of those games where it's highly unlikely that Olympiacos are going to come back. But you never say never. We saw it last year with El Arabi, and as much as I don't think it's going to happen again tonight, we'll have to see. Because if any of these games do go into extra time, then I believe the boys will probably just join us for extra time with the other stream as well, although I do doubt that's going to happen. If I say so myself, as Carl's just put in the chat. For the new people watching, please no spoilers. Example, goals, penalties, basically any major incidents. The lads will be a minute or so behind in the chat. Thank you all for understanding. Thank you very much, Kyle. BT Sport is about 5 billion years behind, so it's very frustrating indeed. But hopefully, we should be all good. And I know we've not really had any people kind of spoiling stuff in the chat in recent weeks, which has made it very nice for us when watching these games tonight. But so far, we are about 15 minutes into tonight's first half fixtures of the early kickoffs in the Europa League. And as it currently stands, we are still waiting for the first goal of the night. Arsenal 0, Olympiacos 0, but a very good start for the home team. Zagreb 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0. Quite a hostile place to go to, Croatia. But Tottenham not doing too bad so far with a 2-0 lead. Shakhtar 0, Roma 0. Not too bad indeed. And then the game we are going to be going over to right now, perfectly timed, Molde 0, Granada 0. It's been the best game of the night so far in terms of the highlights and moments. We've had a yellow card, and that's about it. Kind of sums up how it's been in this first 15 minutes. But first chance of the night, who's it gone to?
Yeah, it's been a nice start, to be honest with you, Josh. And it was a bit like last week. Molde creating their own downfall, really. They gave away the ball in the midfield with a wayward pass. They've done it a couple times tonight, but it's just an early sighter for the Granada players as Montoro went to bend it from the edge of the box into the bottom left-hand corner. The keeper gets down well. More of a glove stinger rather than a real effort, but arguably the biggest chance of the game so far.
Early chances indeed. Thank you very much, Kieran. Still 0-0 in that match, but how is it not 1-0 in this game? Arsenal really should be in the lead in this match. I don't know how Pepe's not put it into the back of the net, but he's made a good marauding run down the right side of the wing. He gets himself into the box, and Jose Sarr comes out of his goal. He does really well to get the ball around the keeper, but in the end, as he's gone to take on the shot, it's low-driven, not really much power in it. And I think Socrates has just got a foot on the ball, which guides it away from going inside the goal and towards the side netting. And somehow, Arsenal, who should probably be now 4-1 up on aggregate, still 0-0 in this game. And look, this first 20 minutes of the match, Olympiacos, they've not really done much in this game so far. In terms of the actual stats of the match, I think they've had about 55% possession. So technically, they've had more opportunities to pass the ball about. As you would expect, they're the team that have got to come out in this game. But Arsenal really managing this game well so far. Big result at the weekend. We've talked about this being a massive week for Arsenal in terms of having the 2 Europa League games and the North London derby. But it looks like it could be a pretty good week for them. Still 0-0 in this game. As Daz has put in the chat, yeah, we are doing a FIFA competition as well. I will just quickly talk about that in a little second. But El Arabi's in here! And that was a brilliant save from Bernd Leno. And I think for a second there, Bernd Leno was looking at the linesman and thinking to himself, surely that was offside for the Moroccan. But just looking at it now, it's a long ball from Jose Sarr. And yes, I think he's right in the end. I actually do think El Arabi's offside, but one long ball, it comes towards the Moroccan. He's got a fantastic opportunity inside the box, pretty much one-on-one with the keeper. But Bernd Leno gets his left leg down low, and it's a good save from Bernd Leno in goal. But I have to say, I think had that have gone in the net, it probably would have been checked by VAR and maybe given as an offside. But it doesn't matter here because Olympiacos have got a corner. It's going to be whipped in by Fortunis, who was put on as a substitute last week, but it's straight into the hands of Bernd Leno. But Lee's asked about that competition. While things are a little bit quiet, I will give you a quick update. Me and Will, in the last couple of hours, pretty much on the last day, to be fair, we've been organising the tournament, getting the list sorted and things like that. I can give you a date now. We're going to do the tournament on the 26th to the 29th of March, so it's going to be over one weekend. The reason why it's over a weekend is because there's 32 teams and 16 games to be played in the round of 32, we're going to split it over the weekend, of course, to make it a bit more enjoyable. There's 3 spaces left, I think, maybe even less, because me and Will have been getting a few people involved. But we are going to give you an update. There is now a cash prize for first, second, and third. So there's more opportunities now in this tournament to win yourself some cash, which makes it a little bit more exciting for you guys. So we're going to put a little bit more money on the line for you guys to get involved. Once again, you don't need FIFA, you don't need an Xbox or a PlayStation, as each game is going to be simmed, so everybody's got a fair chance at the prize. If you do want to play, put your name in the chat, we'll add you to the list, but spaces are running out. We've not really got much time left before I would assume all 32 spaces have gone. But as we said, we just thought we'd give you that update because not many spaces left, and then we've literally got 8 days until we start the tournament, and then we'll have a weekend full of action. Because we thought we'll do it in the international break. It's better to do it then because there's we're not going to be covering the international matches as such. So it means there's more time for a bit more flexibility and freedom. So we'll do it then. And then, of course, we'll do the draw probably the day before the tournament so everybody knows who's going to be facing who. And more specifically, what team you guys are going to have in the tournament. But once again, can I name my team? The way it's going to work is that everybody's going to get a random team. So we're going to take the 32 teams from this season's Champions League group stages, and then we're going to put everybody into a wheel, and then we'll spin it, and everybody will get a random team, of course, once again, to make it fair, so everybody doesn't go out there and pick, Bayern Munich and Manchester City. But if you want to put your name down, then definitely do. We'll do the live draw probably the day before the tournament. because some of these guys have been involved as well. We've got Kieran's name down, we've got Adam's name down, we've got Rowan's name, we've got Kieran D. Will's going to get involved as well. So everybody's going to be in the tournament, which makes it very exciting indeed. So that will be coming up, as I said, in the 26th to the 29th of March. So not long to go until we get to that specific date. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll have a very good tournament indeed, because we did the Euro one a few months ago. Very, very exciting tournament as it continued on. And hopefully we can have this tournament go in a similar vein, maybe even more goals. Because I do think that Euros, when we started off with a lack of goals, and then it livened up as it went on. But 23 minutes on the clock here. Arsenal 0, Olympiacos 0. Might be a chance here for the home team to come forward. Sebas plays the ball to Aubameyang, and somehow he's put the ball over the bar and out of play. And I think he's gone for the outside of the foot shot there. And do you know what? It's worth taking on, but in this situation, all you need to do is put the ball into the back of the net and kill this tie off. It's a lovely ball from Ceballos. And yeah, he just goes for the outside of his foot, the Gabonese striker. And I actually think that does him a bit of misjustice with the opportunity. You know, if he'd have just put a bit of power on that and curled it, it would have gone into the back of the net. But in the end, Olympiacos let off slightly, just as much as maybe Olympiacos let Arsenal off a few moments ago. But it's not been a bad game, and 23 minutes on the clock probably shouldn't be 0-0. I think this could have easily been 1-1, 2-1 to Arsenal, but a very good pace to this game, as you would expect. As Lee wants his name signing up, you absolute legend. We'll get you in there, Lee. Thank you very much, buddy. Very best of luck, of course. We'll do the draw in a few days' time. But we've got 2 spots left now. 2 spots left, and I know Will's got the list in the background. Will's been helping me out massively with it. Which I've been sorting out graphics and stuff for the tournament, which we will be doing. But 2 more spots left. If you've got anybody, friends and such that maybe want to take part, just put the name in the chat and we'll add them into the knockout stage of the tournament. And once again, the way we'll work it, the round of 32 will just be 1 leg. Reason why, preferably wouldn't want to sit there and play 32 matches to decide what goes on. And then after that, from the round of 16 onwards, we will basically go towards having kind of 2 legs. Maybe even from like the quarterfinals, we'll go down to 2 legs, because then there'll just be less teams left in the tournament to mess about with. As Will's put, this game has been absolutely woeful. So it doesn't sound like the best of nights so far between Shakhtar Donetsk and Roma. To be honest, it's not been the best night so far if you're a punter, because we've had no goals yet in either of the 4 games. Arsenal, Olympiacos, somehow still 0-0. I've got to say, probably sounding like one of the better games of the night, as does Mold against Granada. Zagreb, Tottenham as well, still 0-0 as it currently stands. And when I look at the stats across the board from tonight's games and give you a rough breakdown of how things are going within the first half an hour of action, Arsenal, Olympiacos, we've had 4 shots for Arsenal, 2 on target, with Olympiacos having 1 shot, 1 on target. So not a bad start to that match at all. Zagreb actually looking more, I wouldn't say more, I don't really know what's the best way to put it here. I mean, possession-wise, it's Tottenham with 66%, but Zagreb have had 5 shots, 1 on target. Not prolific enough is probably the word I wanted to say there, but they've had a few chances in the game, as you would expect from the home side. Shakhtar Donetsk Roma has had no shots on target yet. There's only been 3 opportunities. Shakhtar with 78% possession. So once again, as we talked about last week, lots of possession, but not doing enough with it. As for Mold Granada, 2 shots, none on target for Mold, 5 shots, 1 on target for Granada, 60% possession for the Spanish side, looking the better of the 2 teams, as you would expect so far in this tournament. As Adam's put in the chat, worse than last week for his games. So not really the greatest of matches so far in what was supposed to be the 5 p.m. goals show. That's what it was called. It was there for goals, and we've not had any yet. So hopefully we do get a few goals soon. Daz is asking in the chat, what is happening for the Euros? Are you doing a fantasy league? It's something we might look into for the Euros. If anybody knows, preferably any places that are doing specifically a Euros fantasy league, I don't know if maybe if Will or KL know a place that's doing it, then put in the chat and tell us. I don't know if there is one. I'd assume there probably will be, but it won't be out yet because it's still a few months away. But it's something we could look into, and maybe we'll set up a fantasy league for you guys to get involved in. But I know next year I wouldn't mind setting up a fantasy Premier League for all you guys to get involved in next year, and we can have our own little kind of big group. So that'll be something to look forward to next season. But right now, we've got about 15 minutes left of tonight's first halves, 0-0 across the board. It's looking like it's going to be another one of those nights for me where I'm going to be here for the majority of it. So if you've got any questions in the chat, you want to ask us maybe about some of the games going on tonight or any big games over the next week, then definitely do put it in the chat. But the question I do want to ask you guys is who so far out of these teams left in the tournament do you feel are the best teams likely to go on and maybe win the Europa League? Because I always ask this question every single time we get towards the latter stages, and every time we've had a draw, I usually like to ask it. I'm going to stop for a second because El Arabi's thrown goal here, but just does a little bit too much. It's going to be a chance here for Rebchuk. Now plays the ball into the middle of the pitch with Kamara, looking to move the ball to Masouras on the right wing, and it gets to him in the end. And Olympiacos just put in their first spell of pressure on Arsenal since that El Arabi opportunity about 5 or 10 minutes ago, when they really do need to get a goal soon, because if Arsenal do get that fourth goal on aggregate, this game is pretty much done and dusted, even if Olympiacos are the away side tonight, as they've got the ball back here in the middle of the field. But definitely do tell us who you think is going to win the competition. I know obviously Villarreal haven't been in action yet today. I'm still going to stick with them. I think Unai Emery has got the experience and the quality as a manager to guide his side potentially to Europa League glory once again. But we'll have to see, of course, what happens there in terms of that match. As I've seen the celebration, there's a smile on the face of KL, which means there must be surely a goal. The question is it for Mould or is it for Granada?
It's a goal for Mulder. They're back in the tie, and it's the right back, Holmgren Pedersen. He hasn't scored, but he provides so much width and so much energy. He passes it into Uland Anderson, who takes it past 3 defenders, trips it towards the back post, and Jesus Vallejo has his angles all wrong and prods it past his own keeper. It's 1-0 Mulder. They're back in the tie, and this is why they were Norway's underrated team. I'm so happy, Josh.
Take a breather. We finally got a bit of liveliness in the games. Thank you very much, Kieran. Mould are back in it. Well, we said before, look, 4 fixtures tonight. We expected one of them maybe to give us a little bit of excitement. And Mould Granada is the one that's given us that excitement indeed. Look, we spoke about the stats of the game just a few minutes ago. It looked like Mould, in terms of the stats of the game, weren't necessarily being dominated. More of a case of Granada putting in a good, astute performance within the first half an hour. But as KL has said, Jesus Vallejo, who is a former Real Madrid player, puts the ball into the back of his own net. And Mould have been given another bit of excitement and a new breath of life in the Europa League, because they could be on course yet again to knock out one of the big sides in this tournament. And look, Granada might not be classed as a big team by many, but they are a massive powerhouse in Spanish football, especially that they're the only Spanish team, apart from Villarreal, left in this competition, which you've got to give them credit for to get so far. But Mould have scored. They're back in it. Are we going to have one of these games tonight and have the ultimate comeback? It was one of the games with the lowest scoreline, but Mould, one more goal, and things will be getting interesting. That game would, of course, be going to extra time if it stays 2-2 on aggregate, with Granada scoring 2 goals at home last week. So we could even maybe be seeing Kieran covering that game later on, but we'll have to see. Loads of time left in that 1-0 as it currently stands in that match. The rest of them 0-0. As Benaldo is putting the chat up, the sports corner. How are you doing, Benaldo? Hope you're all good as always, buddy. Very best of luck tonight, of course, for Tottenham against Zagreb. Doesn't sound like the best of games so far, as Daz is predicting a United-Arsenal final, which would be another all Premier League tie yet again. Last time we had that was Chelsea-Arsenal a few years ago. And then Kyle has gone, I went at the start with Tottenham, so he's going to stick with Tottenham, which I think there'll be a lot of people predicting Tottenham maybe to go on and win it, although they're not putting in the greatest performances so far in the first half an hour of action. So we finally have a goal on the night. It only took us 31 minutes to get that first goal of the evening, but we're there in the end. And KL, with a massive smile on his face, as you saw a moment ago, he's delighted that his game is the one with the goal, because it means now we should have a good 60 minutes left. But Olympiacos going to come forward here. ball played into the box by Socrates, and there's no one there in the end to get the ball towards. And I've got to say, Olympiacos, probably fairly happy with the first 45 minutes of action here. Arsenal, in these last few moments, have not really had much of the ball, not really done a great deal with it. And you've got to say, if Olympiacos can get a goal before half-time or within the first, 10 to 15 minutes of the second half, they will feel like they can get back into this game. But we are going over to Kieran because his game has had a chance. Mould with a goal a moment ago. Did they have a chance to make it 2-0?
They did, and I tell you what, they have put the pressure on Granada now, and they are looking like cracking. The ball was just whipped in from a corner by Magnus Wolf-Eichram. Granada cannot clear their lines. They're feeling the pressure. Domingos Duarte, instead of heading it out, heads it to the side of him, only to Hestad, who pokes it towards goal, and Rui Silva gets down well to clear it. But in this last 13 minutes, I've really felt a little bit of a momentum shift in the way of Mulder. And if Granada want to go through, they're going to have to put pay to it sooner rather than later.
They are indeed. Thank you very much, Kieran. 1-0 still as it currently stands in that match. The only goal of the night so far. Doesn't sound like we're going to have much to talk about in the next 10 minutes apart from that game, considering the way that things have panned out across the other 3 matches tonight. Although I will put my hands up and say, look, this game hasn't been bad. I think this has been quite an enjoyable first half an hour of action. Could have easily had 1 or 2 goals in this match, but both teams looking fairly good in this game. As I said, Olympiacos looking a little bit more desperate for goal, as you would expect, but they can't push numbers forward as such right now. As I think we're going to see a yellow card here for Androvsis at the back for a foul on Emil Smith-Rowe. He's had a bit of a problem tonight coming up against at the back, but I think he's gone into the book there. So Arsenal with a free kick, and maybe even now a chance to get themselves a goal before half-time. It's in a position that is most likely going to get whipped into the box. But I'm going to stop for a second because we're going over to Adam. First chance of the night for him. It's only taken 35 minutes. Who's had that first chance?
It's quite a big chance of Zagreb, to be fair. Just gone past the post just, actually. But Spurs are still going for the goal to kind of seal off the tie, which is surprising me. I thought they'd just sit back all game. But it has been mostly Spurs, as you said before, with the possession stats. They're all over him still. But Zagreb are pushing here,
I was going to say, can you see Zagreb getting a goal? They've got a few decent players on the side.
Maybe one, but I think it'll be very tough to get another.
It's going to be very tough indeed. Thank you very much, Adam, indeed. 0-0 as it stands between Zagreb and Tottenham. 2-0 on aggregate in that game so far. But we're going over to Will. He's had a chance as well. It's like buses. They all come at once. Chance of the game, of course, Shakhtar need 3 goals in this match. Long way to go in this game, but who's had that first chance of the night, Will?
We're 35 minutes in, and there's not really been any chances so far, but the chance was for Shakhtar, and they're coming forward again here, Shakhtar, see if they can work anything, but the ball has been lost, has it? Well, they're claiming for a penalty, but it was a good tackle. Oh yeah, the chance for Shakhtar was a ball whipped in by Tyson, and it was a free header for Junior Moraes, and to be fair, I think he should be doing a lot better. He should be at least getting on target, heads it wide of the post. When you watch it live, it looked like it was going to be going on target, but it just went wide. It was a free header. It was a big chance to maybe get a goal back with 10 minutes to go till half time because, Shakhtar with them being 3-0 down, an early goal would have done them well, but, we're nearly at half time and it's still 0-0. It's not looking too promising. And Roma cleared the lines again. Roma, just like I said last week, they're just so well structured. Every player knows their role and they're devastating on the counter attack. So the more Shakhtar push forward for a goal, the more I can just see them getting exploited. But yeah, still 0-0 so far, but it's not been a highly entertaining game.
No, doesn't sound like it at all. Thank you very much, Will. Still 0-0 in that match between Shakhtar and Roma. Remember, Shakhtar tonight, if they want to take this game to extra time, minimum, they're going to need to score 3. If they want to win it, they need 4. So quite a tough ask for the Ukrainian side, although they've had a fair share of possession in this match so far. Let's quickly talk about that Tottenham one. As Adam said a moment ago, Tottenham dominated possession in that game. They've had nearly 70% of the ball in the first 40 minutes of the match, but Zagreb having few opportunities in this game, a little bit more, in fact, than what Tottenham have had. They've had 6 shots, 1 on target, with only 31% possession. Now, what I was saying before, earlier on, you might have known about a certain situation if you've been reading the news recently, that Zagreb's manager last week has now been sacked. If you're not aware of why, he was arrested, I think, a few months ago for fraud. But of course, they're waiting for a court date and stuff. They've now, of course, announced that he's going to be arrested for 4.5 years, which meant that Zagreb had only a week to decide to sack the manager and, of course, maybe bring someone in. Right now, the manager for this game is going to be, I think, the assistant manager, which is Damir Kuznar. So not really had a great deal of time to be able to organise his side and get to grips with the players. But he's a backroom staff member, which will give him a little bit more of an advantage of knowing the odd player here and there. So Zagreb, of course, with the managerial change in the last week. Tottenham, of course, still got Mourinho in charge right now. But let's have a look and see what you guys have been saying in the chat. I know Bernaldo and Kieran have been having a few talks in the chat about tonight's game, which we will talk about a little bit more in the second half as we get into it. Bernaldo thinks that Manchester United have a bit more of a chance to go through than Tottenham do right now because it's Tottenham. As Keelan used to say, the history of the Tottenham from that video a few years ago when they were in the Champions League. And then Lee's asked how many dudes are in the organisation. We've got quite a few. We've got KL, we've got Adam, we've got Will, we've got KD, we've got a few people writing stuff in the background. We've got Rowan, of course, as well. So we've got quite a lot of us in the background writing stuff on our website, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, there's a lot of us working. And of course, myself. I forgot myself. As Josh is in the building, I'd try and read it all out, but how you doing, buddy? Hope you're all good as always. As Lee's put, go Zagreb. He's hoping tonight that Zagreb could maybe go on and win that match. As it stands, though, still 0-0 in that match tonight. Still only one goal. Mould in the lead against Granada. Vallejo, the man who put the ball into the back of his own net. And Mould looking the more dangerous side now in the last few minutes, as KL was saying. That's the only game that's really brought us a little bit of excitement on the evening. Don't forget, if you are new, as always, please don't forget to leave a like and subscription. We have got more content coming up straight after this tonight. Literally, don't go anywhere. Stick about for a minute or two, because once we've finished, KD and Rowan are going to be going live with the other games tonight. We'll talk about those in a few more minutes, but they're going to be covering the main two games, which are Milan against Manchester United and Rangers Slavia Prague. And then myself and KL will be in the background, popping in and out like we've been doing tonight with a goal show. I'll be watching Villarreal taking on Dinamo Kiev, which is 2-0 on aggregate to the Spanish side. And then Young Boys 3-0 down against Ajax. They're going to have to do what Leverkusen couldn't against the Swiss side a few weeks ago. Going to be tough to always stop a team like Ajax. So a few interesting games in the background as well as we edge towards the final 5 minutes of this game between Arsenal and Olympiacos. And the Greek side are going to come forward here. And it's Holobas, who has been swapping positions tonight. Kind of been playing as a left back and a right back. And he, as you can see with the formation, which I'll just quickly show you on the screen tonight, Olympiacos playing with Holobas and Ryabchuk, kind of as two mixing between each other. Ryabchuk and Holobas flipping from centre-back to left-back. And it's worked quite well so far in this game. A lot of opportunities coming down that left-hand side of the pitch. But I think Olympiacos are about to get themselves a corner in this game. And if they could maybe get themselves a goal, it would be very, very interesting indeed. As Josh says, are you streaming it? We're streaming the live reaction and like the watch-along content. But yeah, we will be covering the game on the channel. So do stick around, because it's going to be good fun tonight with those two games, of course. Kieran being a Man United fan, Rowan being a Slavia fan, he's looking forward to that match, which will be in about an hour and 20 minutes' time. But Olympiacos with a corner. This would be a big moment in the game if they could get this into the back of the net. It's going to come towards the path of El Arabi, but it's headed away, I think, by David Luiz. And I think he's actually given a free kick here, the referee, to Olympiacos for a foul from Nicolas Pepe, who was about to start a counter-attack. But the referee's brought it back in the end. And look, it's the right decision. I think it's a good call there from the referee to give that as a foul, because he was being pushed all over the place. But this is in a very good position now for Olympiacos. And just as when Arsenal thought they might be able to get on the counter-attack, there's now an opportunity for this to be whipped into the box. If they could get a goal here before half-time, Olympiacos, they might be dreaming of another Emirates comeback. And it's going to be whipped in by Kostas Fortounis, trying to get it towards El Arabi, and it's a real waste of a free kick in the end. And now Arsenal will look to drive forward, and it's Aubameyang. It's a 3-on-1, and this could be a brilliant opportunity. Aubameyang, brilliant ball towards Nicolas Pepe, and it's a poor touch from the Ivorian. But Arsenal have got the ball back again, and they'll keep driving forward. Bellerin on the right wing, poor pass, but still somehow keeps the ball. Back to Pepe. tries to go with a 1-2 with Aubameyang, and the ball's given away in the end, and it'll be Olympiacos now driving forward. And yet again, another situation where Nicolas Pepe should have probably had a shot on target or a goal, and somehow this game still stays 0-0. I have no idea how he's not had a goal in it yet, but Nicolas Pepe tonight not having his necessarily the most convincing game in an Arsenal shirt when it comes to the finishing side of stuff. But, look, Arsenal still with a 3-1 lead in aggregate. I think there'll be a few fans disappointed they've not killed the tie off yet. But if you're an Olympiacos fan, you're still in it. And even a goal within the first 10 or 15 minutes of the second half would get a few Arsenal fans and maybe even players a little bit nervous, as I think we will be getting very shortly across the board into half-time. Only one goal on the night so far, Mould being the only team with an own goal. So technically, we've not even had a player from one of the teams score. It's been an own goal from one of the opposition sides, which sums up the night so far. But I don't think Mould fans will care about that because they are back in that match, as we've not had a goal here yet. We've not had a goal with Zagreb Tottenham, and we've not had a goal with Shakhtar Donetsk and Roma, which, of course, we'll talk through the first halves with the boys in a little moment. And I don't think there'll be much to talk about in terms of chances and such, but we will keep you up to date with everything that goes on there. We've about a minute and 15 seconds left here of Arsenal against Olympiacos, and the Greek side looking to push forward here, but El Neni does very well at the back. Scored last week with an absolute thunderous strike against Jose Sarr into the back of the net. It was a really good goal, which, look, the goalkeeper should have probably done better twice in that match last week. But, we're not always going to discredit two really good goals from Odegaard and El Neni now, are we? As Arsenal get the free kick here. Mikel Arteta just asking for a yellow card for one of the players, but referee not listening to his points at all. As Daz asked me in the chat, who do you think is going to win the Premier League of darts this year? I think it's going to be, of course, Going Price is always going to be up there for it. I think Gary Anderson's had a pretty shaky start to the year, but, you'd assume Gary Anderson will be looking at the tournament and thinking, you know what, I made the semi-finals last year. Why not see if I can go and win it? So I think for me, Gary Anderson has to be up there, but don't count out Dimitri van den Berg as well. I think this, for me, is the most open Premier League of darts we've ever had in terms of the calibre of players. So it should be an exciting few weeks when that comes around. In about, I think, 2 weeks we've got left until that first kind of 5 nights takes place. But we're into 2 minutes of additional time here in Arsenal. Olympiacos, are we going to maybe see a late goal before half-time to change the complexion of this tie? Olympiacos, of course, being the team that desperately need a goal more in this game. But it will be David Luiz here who drives his side forward. Had a pretty solid performance, I think, at the weekend in the North London derby. I think he had a few occasions where me and KD were laughing because he found himself occupied on the right wing as Nicolas Pepe has given away another free kick here at the halfway line. And I'm surprised the referee's not actually brought maybe a yellow card out here for Nicolas Pepe in this game, because that's 2 or 3 times now where we've had a few fouls going in from the Ivorian. But it'll be a free kick here, as we've just reached half-time in the game between Zagreb and Tottenham, 0-0 in that match. Doesn't sound like it's been a very enjoyable game to watch so far. But a game that has been enjoyable to watch is the game between Mould and Granada, because that one's at half-time. But I'm going to stop for a second here, because Olympiacos coming forward. It's going to be El Arabi at the edge of the box. Really needs some help from his man. And Kamara does not press forward to help him. And now there's a chance here for Arsenal to hit on the break. It's going to be Danis Abbas, who's done very, very well to keep the ball at his feet. And I think the referee's given a free kick anyway, which he's going to take quickly. And with 30 seconds left on the clock, the Spaniard is still driving forward here. Now he's inside the box on the left wing, plays it towards Emil Smith-Rowe, goes for the long-range effort, and, well, this time Jose Sarr is fully aware of the opportunity. And the referee will blow the whistle for half-time in this match. And it will be 0-0 in this game between Arsenal and Olympiacos. So not the most enthralling of games, realistically, in terms of goals. But I don't think it's been a bad match at all. I think there's been lots of opportunities in the game for both sides to maybe get something. And you would expect something to happen soon. I mean, Kyle says this game's so dull. Are you watching the game right now, Kyle? Because I'd have said there's been a few chances at the end of the day. And I know in the case of the neutral, it is probably a little dull because we've not had a goal to rattle Arsenal. We've not had a goal to maybe get something for Olympiacos in this match. But so far, 0-0 in this game as... I'm just seeing the chat. Daz has put 2 weeks on Monday, 2 weeks on Tuesday. It's my birthday, Josh. Well, happy birthday in 2 weeks' time on Tuesday. But early birthday is Vanance, but happy early birthday. I think we've reached half-time across the board in tonight's fixtures to quickly run down before we bring the boys in one by one and talk about the matches. Arsenal 0, Olympiacos 0. There's been a few little opportunities in this game for both sides, but it should have probably been maybe 1 or 2 to Arsenal if Pepe was a little bit more clinical and more aware. Dinamo Zagreb 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0. Zagreb, of course, looking to try and get 2 goals in this game to take the match to extra time. But ultimately, in the end, it is going to be one of those matches where Zagreb need to get something soon to get back into that match. Shakhtar Donetsk 0, Roma 0. Shakhtar Donetsk having a lot of the possession in the game, but realistically, not really much going on there. And then the match of the night so far, 1-0 to Mold against Granada. Own goal in that match from Jesus Vallejo, which means that game is now well and truly in the balance. So, without further ado, should we go across the board and talk to the lads? We'll go in one by one. Let's start off with the best game of the night so far. It's the game that's had the only goal within the first 45 minutes of action. Mold coming up against Granada. I said at the beginning of the night, I thought that this would be one of those games that was well and truly still in the balance. I might be right. Still in the balance, do you think, Kieran?
Absolutely. It is a tie that I think that first half has brewed it up nicely for an impressive second half.
Yeah, it should be. I mean, I'm looking at the stats of the game. 8 shots, 1 on target for Granada with 61% possession. 4 shots, 1 on target for Mold with only 39 possession. We talked last week about this Hoffenheim-Mold game. None of us watched it because there was a whole host of games going on. But in that second leg, 2 shots, 2 on target, 30% possession, and they win the match. Do you think they're going to have to do something very similar tonight in terms of being clinical in front of goal?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, to be honest with you, they've also got to look out at keeping it out at the other end, because I've got to admit, Kennedy, who obviously English fans will know because he spent time at Newcastle and Chelsea, he's been the danger man for Granada and they've had to keep him quiet. But also Jorge Molina up top, some old tired legs up there today. But to be honest, the way he's held up the ball and brought other people into play has probably been his strongest facet tonight. But if you're Mulder, you're more than happy with the first half, and it's set up a second half that I think will be intriguing. And the next goal is of gargantuan importance, Josh.
It is definitely detrimental to the match. I mean, look, at the end of the day right now, we've been 2-1. If Mold get another goal in this game, of course, it all depends on what time that goal comes. Could Mold win it? Could they get 2 goals in this match? Just relying on the fact that Granada don't get one themselves.
Yeah, I think it's not that it's a long shot. It's more the fact that from an offensive standpoint, the striker Sigurdsson is winning the first ball, and but apart from that, he's not had a real sighter in front of goal. Their best has come from an overlap. The man I mentioned last week, I think he's called Holmgren Pedersen, the right back creating the overlap on the right side. That's where they've had their most joy, and it's just been that the final ball has been a little bit off. And even with the goal, it was just Jesus Vallejo getting his angles all wrong and putting it past his own keeper. So, yeah, they'll have to be clinical in front of goal. The most likely result I can see is them getting 1. But if the wind's in the sails, Granada looks shaky when the pressure's on. So we'll have to see, because Granada, for as good as they've been defensively in this tournament, second highest goals conceded in the Liga they can be got at. It just depends if they can pick up from the first half, which I've got to admit, Josh, as you say, by the sounds of it tonight, I've had the look of the draw. I was excited for this fixture, and rightly so.
Rightly so, indeed. Thank you very much, Kieran. The game, of course, that we've said is looking the best match of the night so far. It's the game with the only goal in the first 45 minutes. Mold 1, Granada 0. Don't take your eyes off that one. If you're in neutral and you're looking for something to watch, then I would recommend sticking that on, because no doubt as the game continues on, Mold will try and push for that second and maybe even get a winner? Who knows? We'll have to find out. Daz just put the chat. I'll be back in a bit. Going to jump in the bath. Okay, we'll see you in a little bit. Daz, thank you very much. As Kieran's put, Josh in for 248 days is my birthday. Happy early birthday in 248 days time, Kieran. Hope you're good. As Carl's put, don't know why I said I would when I wouldn't last week. Arsenal don't look like Europa League contenders to me, which I'll talk about that game in a little moment's time, because we'll go over to the Shakhtar Donetsk Roma match now. We said last week, Roma and Shakhtar, Roma with a 3-0 win, but Shakhtar had much of the possession in the game. I'm looking at the stats right now, Will. It looks similar again. Shakhtar with all the possession in the match, but doing nothing with it.
Yeah, it's been a carbon copy. The last game, the only difference is Roma have been less ruthless going forward, but I think Roma are thinking to themselves, we don't need to commit bodies forward when we're 3-0 up on aggregate. We can, as long as he keep them from scoring goals, then it's completely fine. It's been a boring game, Josh, being honest with you. Not much happening at all. And like I said, Roma are going to cruise through this. I think when you see Shakhtar maybe come out more in the second half, Roma might get in behind them and get a couple of goals. But as of right now, it's just been a really, really poor showing.
Yeah, it's been poor. I mean, you look at the stats of the game. Roma, they don't have to go for it. 3-0 advantage. And if they do get a goal in this game, you'd assume it'd kill the tie-off. So it's currently stats-wise, 23% possession, 2 shots, none on target. Shakhtar Donetsk, 4 shots, 1 on target, 77% possession. If you were the neutral and you were looking at those stats, you would have expected Shakhtar to have obviously, 1, had more opportunities on target, and 2, probably had the ball in the back of the net. I'm looking at the bench. They've got Marlos on there. They've got Tyson, Konoplyanka. Do you see one of those players maybe coming on early on in the second half to try and change it up a bit?
I think you might as well bring him on at start of the second half. You've got nothing to lose at this point. You need some goals quickly. I don't think they're going to get them, but you might as well try. But like I said, Shakhtar have had a lot of possession, but it's just in the wrong areas. And with the way Roma defend, they defend so compact in the box. And as soon as a Shakhtar player gets the ball in a dangerous area, there's bodies conversion on it, and they clear the ball away. Roma, the game plan from Roma over the 2 legs have been fantastic, and they deserve to go through. And barring an absolute, an awful collapse, they will be moving on to the next round.
They definitely will be indeed. Thank you very much, Will. 3-0 still on aggregate to Roma. Shakhtar Donetsk, time's running out and they need something soon, or else they are going to be knocked out of the tournament. And funnily enough, interesting stat, this would be Roma's first ever Europa League quarter-final, which is crazy to think about. You would have expected Roma to have been in the quarterfinals multiple times before, but I think that's more of a case of in the Champions League than it is in the Europa League. So a big moment tonight for Roma as well to get to the latter stages of this competition. Let's move on to the other game now. You put it in the chat earlier on, Adam. We've had one opportunity really in this game that was worth talking about. But ultimately tonight, Zagreb-Tottenham, we had 2 goals in the first match. It's not really living up to, I wouldn't really say there was many expectations for this game, were there?
No, none at all, really. It has in a way lived up to its expectations, to be fair, but it's been poor. There's been like a few half chances for both teams. I mean, Zagreb had the better chance, which went through earlier, but the task is a lot harder now, given it.
Yeah.
It's half time for Zagreb. So.
Exactly. They've got to get, 2 goals minimum to take it to extra time,
exactly.
3 goals to win it.
Yeah, and they don't look like scoring. Well, no, they don't look like scoring. I mean, Spurs have been dominating the game. They've had a few chances most possession as well, but I can't see Zagreb get anything from this game.
No, I mean, I'm looking at the stats right now. If you look at Tottenham's side of stuff, once again, like Roma tonight, they don't have to go out there and really bag many goals because they're the away team. They've got the advantage. 4 shots, 1 on target, 70% possession. Dinamo Zagreb, 8 shots, 1 on target, 30% possession. It looks like to me, probably very similar to the Mould game. They've had more chances tonight, Zagreb. There's not really many players on the bench that you'd expect to come on, or recognisable players at the very least. It is a case of what they've got on the pitch tonight is what needs to go out there and win the match. You'd expect now Tottenham to probably be going through to the next round, barring an unbelievable collapse.
Yeah, it would be like a miracle, I think, if Zagreb somehow found a way back into the team. Like, how well Mourinho sets up Spurs defensively and how much, he wants to sit back in games. So I think we'll see a lot of that in the second half, as they have kind of done anyway. Like, as soon as Zagreb get the ball, there's about the whole Spurs team behind the ball straight away, defending the goal. So
not the attacking side of Spurs you want to see, is it? We were sat here, I think, last week with the North London derby, and I was sat there saying, I'd like them to attack. Of course not tonight, would they?
I just don't know that. Yeah, they're frustrating to watch at times because they have good players going forward, but it's just Mourinho, isn't it?
It is. It's a shame, but thank you very much, Adam. 0-0 as it currently stands. You've seen over the last few weeks and months, Adam has the most ridiculous luck when it comes to watch-alongs. Not tonight, though, because he's only got 0 goals in the match. Just like myself, 0-0 right now between Arsenal and Olympiacos as it currently stands. This game, for me, probably in terms of the 4 games tonight, has been one of the better games. 4 opportunities and moments, but it doesn't mean it's an incredible match overall. We've had 5 shots through on target for Arsenal, 2 shots, 1 on target for Olympiacos. And at the end of the day, I think the Greeks, they'll be happy at half-time to go into the break, not conceding, although they probably should have once or twice, in my opinion. If they can get a goal within the first 10 or 15 minutes of the second half, Arsenal are going to be under some pressure. They've had 60% possession, remember, so they are dominating the ball a little bit more. They just need to do more with it because right now it's not been good enough from them. And look, they've got good memories here, especially last year with Yusuf El Arabi, getting them to go into extra time and winning the game. But right now, I just can't see it happening unless something special happens in this match for Olympiacos. So there we go. There's all the scores at half-time. We'll keep you up to date. Of course, the second half's coming up in a few moments' time. Let's have a quick talk, though, about some of the stuff still to come on the channel in the next couple of days. Don't forget, right after us tonight, literally about a minute or 2 after we finished, you could join KD and Rowan, who will be covering the main 2 games, Milan against Man United and Rangers Slavia Prague. You'll also then be able to join myself and Kale. We'll be jumping on in the background throughout the match, cover the other 2 games, which do include Ajax, who are up away from home against BSC Young Boys, and then Villarreal up against Kiev. Our Friday morning watch-along is the A-League once again. Rowan will be covering Western Sydney Wanderers, who were part of that incredible 4-3 result that I watched midweek. They'll be coming up against Perth Glory. That's from 8 a.m. UK time, so you can join Rowan for that. And then after that, we'll be live from 11 a.m. in the morning for the Champions League quarter and semi-finals draw. And then at 12 o'clock, we'll have the Europa League quarterfinals draw and semi-finals as well. So do stick around for that tomorrow night. Well, it's not even tomorrow night, it's tomorrow afternoon. It's going to be very interesting to see who faces who as we finally get a path towards the Champions League and the Europa League finals, which will be taking place around May to June time. And then, of course, on Saturday night, don't forget, it's the battle of the 2 teams with the worst form in the Bundesliga so far. Schalke 04 sat bottom of the league, take on Gladbach, who've been without a win for what feels like forever. Kieran L is going to be live on Saturday, 5:25 for that game with live reaction to that match. And I think you'll get quite a lot of passion if Gladbach do get themselves a win in that match because they desperately need it with how the season has panned out so far. Don't forget as well, if you haven't signed up for the FIFA tournament, we are going to be running our UCL FIFA Sim tournament very, very soon. It's over the weekend of the 26th to the 29th of March. That is when the international break takes place. We've got 2 spots left now. Lee's taken a spot in this competition, so 2 spaces left. There's going to be a cash/gift card prize now for first, second, and third. So there's more prizes on the table for you guys to take part in this competition. You don't need FIFA, you don't need an Xbox or a PlayStation. Each game is going to be simmed, so everybody's got a fair chance in this tournament of winning. We're going to take the 32 teams from the Champions League in the group stages this season, and of course we'll do a live draw for that competition about 24 hours before we do the tournament. So you guys will know who you've got and who you'll be coming up against because everyone is going to be put onto a wheel. So everybody's got a fair chance at getting the likes of Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, as much as everybody will have a fair chance of getting the likes of Salzburg and Istanbul. Maybe not teams you necessarily want to get as such, but who knows, should make for an interesting tournament. So once again, if you haven't put your name down for it, then please do put your name down in the chat because those spaces are being filled very, very quickly. There's 2 spots left to get at them very quickly indeed. And then, of course, if you want to check out our social media links, our Twitter is at @the_top corner. Well worth checking that out, as well as our Instagram, which is the _sportscorner_. We always post out on Instagram and Twitter when we go live on our YouTube, as well as when we post articles up on our website, which is the sports-corner.com. We've got new articles available every single day on the website, and I highly do recommend going and checking it out because if you want a little bit of half-time viewing before we get back into these games in a moment, you can see on the screen right now, we've got plenty of new pieces. There's a piece uploaded today about Shakhtar needing a miracle in their game. I think that definitely is something they need right now, especially with how the first half panned out. How Slavia Prague can overcome Rangers. Remember, both these two sides unbeaten all season long, so one of them is going to drop a result tonight and get an L on the board. But other things as well, we're keeping you up to date with the NFL free agency frenzy. Finished recently, but there's still deals going on in the background. So please do go and check it out. It is the sports-corner.com if you haven't checked it out already. So that is all of the updates that you need. And I love when we do the goal show because it always pretty much brings us bang on back to the time of when these games are going to go back underway because the Olympiacos players are out onto the pitch. And I believe we'll probably be getting back underway in a moment with all 4 of the fixtures. And the real question is, are we going to get any dramatic moments? The one game that stands out right now, obviously, is Molde against Granada. 1-0 as it currently stands to Molde in this game. They are the most likeliest of teams to give us something in this match as that game has got back underway. That's 2 minutes into the second half. Are we going to see some goals? Maybe even Molde coming back. We'll have to find out as that game does continue on. Shakhtar need 3 goals minimum to take that match to extra time. Probably doubtful that that's going to happen, but you never know at the end of the day. We'll have to see what they can do in that match if they want to get back into it because, as I said, look, time is running out and they need to get something soon in that game. Zagreb against Tottenham, you can see there at 2-0 right now to Tottenham Hotspur. They're quite happy to sit back and kind of relax pretty much. Not really much going on in that game in terms of opportunities on goal at the very least. And then, of course, Arsenal Olympiacos, the one game we are still hoping and praying we can have an Olympiacos early goal because that would make this match certainly interesting overall. And I think we need another game to be exciting because right now there's really not much going on right now at all. I mean, Kyle's put, why are you belittling Istanbul? They're a great team. Just doesn't seem fair to them. Somebody has to get belittled as the shittest team in the tournament. And if you're being honest, Kyle, and be honest with me now and tell me in the chat, if you were to get Istanbul Basaksehir here, you probably wouldn't be happy. I mean, I'll pick another team for you. I'll say Olympiacos, technically, probably one of the worst sides in the tournament because they're starting the Champions League. But you wouldn't be happy with them. Be honest with me. I know you'd say you would be, but you definitely wouldn't. But somebody's got to be belittled, haven't they, at the end of the day? But we've got a card here. Andros coming into the book, the right back. Getting a yellow card in this game, as I said, struggling to defend up against Emil Smith-Rowe in this match so far. And he goes into the book, which I'm actually quite surprised the referee's not brought out a few more yellow cards in this game. I think he's probably not really been into the book as such to more than I expected him to, but they're coming forward here, Olympiacos, and there's a chance just wide from Kostas Fortounis. Really, really good in the end from the Greek. He just tries to curl the ball in, but I'm saying really, really good. It actually wasn't the greatest chance they will, but good from Olympiacos that they're going to try and go for it early on here because they really do need a goal very, very soon in this match. But the real question is, how long is it going to be this time before we get the first goal of the game? It's pretty much been a case of it took us about 35 minutes for the first goal to go in across the board in tonight's matches at half time, in the first half even. Is it going to be another 35 minutes? We'll have to find out soon. I would assume we'll probably get another chance at some point in one of these games. But Arsenal here, having their first spell of possession in the match, but they're getting the ball away here, and now it's going to be a chance for Kamara to break forward. It's a 4-on-3, and Kamara's still going here, lays the ball off into the path of Antrusis, who tries to put the ball back into the box, and it's eventually out of play for a Olympiacos corner. So another pretty decent opportunity there, and it was Androutsos, which is the name I wanted to say, who was pressing forward on that right wing position for the moment, and he does really well to try and whip a ball into the box, and eventually it goes out of play for a corner. Kind of made the most of it, set pieces. They've got a few big players in the box. Socrates will no doubt be one of them. Bar is 6'6", I believe, so he's another danger man. But the ball's whipped in by Fortounis, and he's towards the near post. And it was a brilliant chance, and I thought for a second El Arabi found himself at the near post. Ball's been lobbed back in again. It's into the hands of Bernd Leno, but it was El Arabi who found himself in such a good position at the near post. He made a good marauding run, but he just couldn't get a touch on the ball. And it was Holobas with the initial header. And I thought for a second there, we were going to be saying that Olympiacos had got a goal in the match, but ultimately, in the end, it still stays 0-0. And that will be a little bit of a confidence booster for the Greek side. They do need it. But they've got to get something soon here. Look, they've only got to get 2 goals in this match, but when you come up against Arsenal, it's always going to be tricky to do that, as we've still not had any goals in the first 5 minutes of action. And Olympiacos like to come forward again here. Long ball whipped towards the path of El Arabi on the right wing, but the ball just a little bit too heavy. I think it was passed from Rabchuk there, and it does go out of play for an Arsenal throw-in. So good start in this first 5 minutes of the second half of action here in this Europa League tie. But we're going over to Will because we have had a goal in one of the fixtures. It's only taken us 5 minutes here to get the first goal in the second half. But the question is, have Shakhtar Donetsk got themselves back into the game, or have Roma well and truly killed the tie?
Roma have killed it off, mate, and it's really, really poor defending from Shakhtar. It's Karsdorp who's playing as almost a right mid tonight for Roma. He's kind of playing as a wing-back role, but he goes on the right-hand side, plays a lovely 1-2 with Pedro. He puts it into the middle, does Karsdorp. I don't know what the Shakhtar defender's doing. He tries to clear it away. In the end, he ends up getting a toe on it, and he literally sets up Borja Mayoral, who just heads it down into the ground from about 5 yards out, past the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper doesn't even dive. He knows it's gone past him. It's just shoddy defending from Shakhtar, really, really lazy defending. And Roma, that's what they do. They soak the pressure up, they go down the field, and they get that goal. And it's 1-0 to Roma on the night, 4-0 on aggregate. And now Shakhtar, I think they need 5 goals. Yeah, they need 5 goals to go through. So, in other words, it's over because they're nothing so far tonight. And I can't see them getting 5 goals in 40 minutes.
Thank you very much, Will. 4-0. Chance here for Arsenal to come forward. It's now, Olympiacos forward. El Arabi, it's in! It's in! We've got a game on here. El Arabi's done it again. He's put the ball in the back of the net. It is game on here at the Emirates, and the Moroccan just takes a shot on from outside the box, and it's a slight deflection on the shot that he took on, which put the ball into the back of the net. And we have our away goal that Olympiacos need. It's a really, really good start for the Greeks, and it all comes from Jan Villa making a tackle just before the halfway line. I think it was on Ceballos. Olympiacos pushed themselves forward. It's a lovely ball from Fortunis into Youssef El Arabi. He takes the shot on. It comes off, I think, David Luiz's foot and just glides into the back of the net. But Olympiacos are back in this game, and we've got some action on our hands here now. Is the Moroccan about to put Arsenal to the sword again? And it actually comes off the back of Gabriel Magalhaes, not David Luiz. But who cares? Olympiacos are back in it. It's 1-0 and the Greeks. I mean, the manager's going mental on the touchline. He's loving it right now. But Olympiacos 1-0 in this game. But let's go over to Kieran, because there has been a chance in his game, which is also well and truly alive. Mould 1, Granada 0. Who's had the first chance the second half, Kieran?
It was Mulder, and it was that man that I talked about at half-time, Josh. I said about Sigurdsson. He hadn't really had his first opportunity or his first sighter in front of goal, and he has it within the first 10 minutes of this second half. It was a lovely ball from the right-hand side, but you'll guess it, Holmgren Pedersen, who puts a lovely ball in. Sigurdsson makes a lovely run across the centre-back, but it's a bit towards the near post, and he flicks his head towards it, and it's just agonisingly over the crossbar. But that is why the big Icelandic forward's in the team, but he's got to be he's got to be testing the keeper.
He absolutely has to indeed. Thank you very much, KL. 1-0 still in that match to Mould. We, of course, spoke to Will a few moments ago about the Roma-Shakhtar game. Roma now with a 4-0 lead on aggregate. That game is pretty much done and dusted. Borja Mayoral with the goal there in the 48th minute of that match. They've not really had any possession in the game. They're still currently sat around about the 26%, 24% in fact, possession, where they've made that one opportunity on target count with a goal, and that means Shakhtar will no doubt be leaving the competition, especially now Roma have that all-important away goal. But the moment I think everybody was expecting, and KD, you've put it in the chat, El Arabi has looked really, really sharp in this game, and he's got himself a goal on the board. And now this is where Arsenal will be shitting themselves a little bit, because they've only conceded about 7 or 8 minutes into the second half. And look, what they need to do here is regroup Arsenal, get the ball, take the possession away from Olympiacos, because this last kind of 5 or so minutes of this second half, they have been having a little bit more possession in this game. And in fact, when I look at the stats now, Olympiacos have had 60% possession in the match still, so looking very confident on the ball. And as this game will progress, like the Mold match, they will start to feel a little bit more confident in themselves at Olympiacos. And, as we said before, I think El Arabi, as KD said, he's looking very, very sharp in this game. And I think he's on tonight to maybe rattle Arsenal fans again. But look, 35 minutes left of this game. It's exciting now. It's what we wanted on the night. As Cal's asked, do you think it's offside? It's a tough one to call. It's a very, very tough one to call. They haven't really shown us any replays of the goal since it's gone in. So I wouldn't mind seeing another replay to see whether that had kind of influenced the decision. But it was a very, very tight one from the looks of it. As Carl's put, I'd be honoured to get Istanbul. I'll lead them to glory and we'll show you all. Hey, do you know what? If you get Istanbul now, you called it. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'll say for now. But good to see some goals going in early in the second half. Hopefully we'll get a few more on the board now as these games do get exciting. Apart from Adam, who finally, I think, depending on what happens in the next 35 minutes, has had his luck and his streak of goals end. He's got none right now in that match between Zagreb and Tottenham. And look, 2-0 last week probably wasn't the most amazing game in the world, but he had goals. That's the important thing. And this could be one of his first 0-0s. Although saying that, I'm pretty sure we did have a 0-0 before when we did the one of the Milan games a few weeks ago, which is not in his head. We did. I thought we did. So technically, it's a partial streak at best. As I think Arsenal are going to get a corner here, but I'm seeing some hands flapping. Ball! I mean, that's what I've seen right now. Frustration. What's going on? What's going on?
Mulder had a golden opportunity, and it was Sigurdsson, the target man, who is making a really nice run into the channel. He crosses it to the back post. There's two people looking to hit it at the same time, and they're the only two there, and they get in each other's way, and they both completely miss-hit it. It was a golden opportunity for Mulder, and as you can see on the little screen, Josh, I was getting rather up for that chance there.
Look, do you know what? I've said every single time when we've seen goals, I never get the chance to put you in because by the time you've celebrated, it's too late. There's what we've been waiting for weeks now. That's the passion we love to see. Thank you very much, though, Kieran. Still 1-0 in that game. We don't get to see it. That's the passion what Kieran brings to the game at the end of the day. Look, Mould, he wants them to go through. He wrote a piece about them. And it's good to see the reactions, of course. The passion on the line. No doubt Mold fans will be screaming at their TVs in Norway after a really, really good chance in the match that they've missed there. As Arsenal are going to make 2 substitutions in this game. Martin Odegaard is on to bring a little bit of creativity to the table. And then the other substitution in this match, we'll see El Neni come off and Thomas Partey come on. So a little bit more class and experience, you could say, coming on to the Arsenal side now to try and get a bit of a spell of possession in midfield because so far Olympiacos have looked much better on the ball, but Arsenal with a corner here, which Odegaard whips in, and it's eventually headed away by Socrates Papastafopoulos, a former Arsenal player. We'll be looking to see if he can get a bit of redemption against his former Premier League side with revenge, but there's still a long way to go in this game if Olympiacos want any hopes of going through to the next round of this competition. Carl's just had a look at the lineups for Milan Man United. No Zlatan in the Milan team, which is surprising, on the bench. Yeah, I know Pioli came out yesterday and said he wouldn't be starting the match. He'd probably be playing a little bit of time, maybe coming on, which is a little bit of a surprise. I thought maybe he would start and then he'd get subbed off, but it's more of a case of I think it's looking like he'll get subbed on in that match. But what we will do for a second is, while it has gone a little bit quiet, why not take a look at the actual lineups for the games tonight? I think I've always done these streams and we've never actually talked about the other matches coming up. So I'll take that off the screen for a second and we'll go and have a quick look at some of the lineups for tonight's games, which you will be able to see on your screen now. Milan tonight with a 4-2-3-1. Gianluigi Donnarumma is in goal. Back four of Teo Hernandez, Fikayo Tomori, Simon Kjaer, who of course scored last week, and Pierre Kalulu. Kessie and Miete in the midfield, with Rade Krunic as a left winger, Samuel Castillejo as the right winger, Çalhanoğlu in the middle, and Salimakas up top. To me, I don't like the look of that attack, if I'm being honest with you. That doesn't scream goals for me, which is what Milan need. But United need goals as well. They're going for 4-2-3-1 themselves. Dean Henderson is in goal, back four of Luke Shaw, Maguire, Victor Lindelof, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka, with the two defensive midfielders being McTominay and Fred the Ever-Presence. Daniel James on the left wing, Greenwood is on the right, with Bruno Fernandes in the middle, and Marcus Rashford up top. You can see De Gea, Pogba, Telles, Matic, Van der Beek all on the bench, which is quite a surprise. I thought Van der Beek would have started tonight, but he hasn't, of course, with this game well and truly still in the balance. As for Milan, the likes of Tonali, Ibrahimovic, and Dalot on the bench. What about Rangers Slavia Prague? 4-3-3 tonight for Rangers. Alan McGregor is in goal, back four of Barisic, Goldson, Balogun, and Patterson, with a midfield three of Glenn Kamara, Stephen Davies, and Scott Arfield. Ryan Kent on the left wing was a real danger last week for Slavia Prague. Joe Aribo is on the right, with Alfredo Morelos up top. And if you're a Rowan, you're absolutely loving the look of this team tonight. 3-5-2 for Slavia Prague. Andre Kolar is in goal with a back three of Jan Borrell, Deli, and Kudela. Abdullah Sima is on the left wing with Bar on the right-hand side. Midfield three of Dorley, Hromada, and Stanciu, with Olayinka and Provod up top. I'm going to stop for a second, though, because Nicolas Pepe, once again, for the third time tonight, should have probably put the ball into the back of the net. And it was a chance which was played in by Granit Xhaka onto the left-hand side of the pitch. Kieran Tierney gets the ball. He whips a ball into the box, and it actually comes off the head of, I think, is it Odegaard who's down? Yeah, it comes off the head of Emile Smith-Rowe. He's gone to duck, and it comes off the head of Emile Smith-Rowe. And he had not got his head on that, he would have been in the back of the net, and that would have probably killed Olympiacos' chances of getting back into the match. But a little bit of unluck there. As we're going over to Adam, we've had a goal on the night. Question is, Adam, is it for Zagreb or is it for Tottenham?
It's a big goal for Zagreb, and what a goal as well. What a goal.
I'm going to take a guess. I was literally just about to say Orsic as well.
Yeah, honestly, just edge of the box, gone to his right foot, curled it top right corner. Lovely finish. Lovely. Unbelievable.
Brilliant play.
I jumped out my seat with it. It was ridiculous.
I didn't even get to see it because I was looking at the lineups as well. But Orsic, best player for him, scored a long-range effort, I think, last week from what I saw. Scored another one tonight. Can they do it now?
Oh, yeah. Game on. Come on. Let's have it.
That's what we love to see. Passion there for Adam, and no doubt passion across the board. 3 games in the balance now. Thank you very much, Adam. Zagreb back in that game. Let me change the bottom of the screen because the Croatian side are well and truly back in this game. 1-2 on aggregate to Tottenham. 2-1 technically, if you want to take it properly. As Kieran's put Mould sub. Sigurdsson has come off for Fofana. Impressed me last week. And then Molina has come off, and the goal scorer last week, Soldado, has come on. Will says his stream is shat the bed, but Shakhtar, Junior Marash has scored in that game, so it's 1-1. Alan Patrick assist. So I don't think actually Will was able to see the goal in that match, but Junior Marash with a goal, which isn't too bad there. The Ukrainian, of course, being quite a good player in front of goal over the last few years. But we're in the balance now. Who would have thought this? We were sat here about an hour ago saying that these games were done and dusted. There's now 3 games in the balance. There's big smiles on the face of Adam, Kieran, and myself because we've got good games. As for Will, if you want to stick on Arsenal, do that, and you might have a decent game in the background. Unless Shakhtar to get another goal, maybe might make it a bit more exciting. But look, time is running out. We are going to get a change here, though. Rangelovic is coming on. Masouras is coming off. Not really been great in this game, if I'm being honest with you. Been a bit of a quiet one overall with how it's panned out so far for him. So he comes off, and Rangelovic played really well in the last match. He comes onto the field. Can he maybe bring something to this Olympiacos side? Because look, at the end of the day, as time is going on, they need a goal back very, very soon. But Orsic there, as I said, scored a long-range screamer at the weekend in the Croatian League. Scored another one now, and Zagreb might be about to put Tottenham to the sword. And, of course, I didn't get to see Adam's reaction, which is quite a shame. Very disappointed with myself. I was too busy looking at the Slavia Prague side, but no doubt it'll be a very good reaction indeed, as Kieran's put Bernardo is shitting himself now. And he did say about half an hour ago it would be very Tottenham to go and bottle the match. So we'll have to see what goes on there. But we will go and have a look at some of the other lineups for tonight's games, because we've got 2 of the matches going on tonight. Villarreal against Dinamo Kiev, 4-3-3 tonight for the Spanish side. Asenjo is in goal, back 4 of Pedraza. I think it's from Yeah, it was Funes Mori. I forgot his name there for a second. Raul Albiol and Juan Foyth as a left back. Midfield three of Dani Parejo, Etienne Capoue, and Manu Trigueros. And then up top, Jeremy Moreno on the left wing, Chukwueze on the right. And Carlos Bacca, Europa League hero of the past, is up top. Can't wait to see how he does tonight. 43-1 tonight for Kiev. Bushan in goal. Mikolenko, Shirota, Zabani, and Kajiora make up the back four. Andrzejewski and Sjorchuk are the two defensive midfielders. Shigankov, Carlos de Pena are the left wings, the right wingers, with Bialski in the middle. And Gary Rodriguez, who injured really last week, is in up top. And no doubt Kieran will be very excited to see if he injures a few more players. But we've got a chance in that game between Molde and Granada. Still 1-0. Who's had the chance this time?
Oh, Molde should be ahead, Josh. It's Fofana, the man that I said to you in brackets impressed me last week. I think he brings a lot more than Sigurdsson does. But he was put through, and it was from a ricochet, but then he's one-on-one with Rui Silva, and he just has to put it either side, and he hits it straight at the Portuguese goalkeeper. And I couldn't believe it. I thought, this was the moment, one-on-one. And that sort of, lack of clinical nature may come to bite Molde if they don't go through. But with 23 minutes to go, this has been a hell of a watch, I'll be honest.
Sounds like a very, very good game indeed. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes down. Like, Granada, have they been in the game? Has it been even?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Granada, in terms of like really clear-cut opportunities, in the second half, they've not really had one. But when they go forward, especially through the likes of Kennedy, I do think he's still the danger man. And I wouldn't be surprised if they nick a goal on the counter. But Molde have had the better opportunities in the second, I would say. But I'm just fearful of Granada on the counter, that's all.
Very, very nervous indeed. Thank you very much, KL. Still 1-0 to Molde in that game. We've got exciting games across the board now. If you've not joined us in the last few minutes, where have you been? These second halves have been lively. Molde still 1-0 up against Granada. Remember, if Molde do score another goal in that game, they will be going to extra time. Shakhtar Donetsk 1, Roma 1. First goal of the night going to Borja Mayoral just about a minute or two into the second half. But Junior Marash getting himself onto the score sheet has put Shakhtar at least a goal on the board. Probably still going home, though, unless something special happens. And talk about something special, Mislav Orsic, the hero for Zagreb over the last few months, probably their best player at the club, has got himself an absolutely unbelievable long-range stunner in that game. Zagreb 1-0 up in the second leg, but not on the tie. They need to get themselves another goal here, or else they will be going out of the competition. As for Olympiacos, if they score 2 goals in this game, they'll be going through to the next round. If they score 1 more, I think they will still have to score 2, I'm pretty sure, because Arsenal, of course, scored 3 away from home. So still a lot of pressure here for Olympiacos to get something. But if a goal goes in, there is going to be some very, very nervous Arsenal fans, that's for sure. As was put, my stream is folks keeps replaying the Roma goal over and over. I'll just put in chat if anyone scores. That's all good, mate. If you wanted to put the Arsenal game on, then you're more than welcome to, and we can just both sit and talk about the game overall. But if there's anything that happens, we'll keep you up to date with the Roma Shakhtar game. But 25 minutes left on the clock. And as I said, it was a night where we thought these games were done and dusted. They're certainly not. There's a long, long way to go in these games. And Olympiacos, for me, just in this last 5 or so minutes of still had quite a lot of possession in this game. I think right now it's still around about 56, 57, I would have said. So it's dropped slightly, which you would expect when players like Thomas Partey and Odegaard have come onto the pitch. But look, you'd expect those types of midfielders to dictate the game. They still realistically haven't, even though only being on the pitch for the last few minutes is not really much time to really compose a match and dictate a game. But if Olympiacos instead can get another goal in this match, make it 3-3 on aggregate, I think, as I said, Arsenal will still go through because they scored 3 away goals in their match. But we'll have to see. I'm seeing Kieran type in the chat. I'll save you from typing, buddy. I think we've had a chance. Who's it for?
Massive chance for Granada. They could have put this tie to bed. It was a free kick on the left-hand side, and it was whipped right. It was a massive switcher play from the free kick, and Yangel Herrera had peeled off the fullback. He's in acres of space. He hits it with a left-footed volley into the ground. Looks like it's destined for the corner. But Linda, the strong palms of Linda, puts it past the post. And Granada could have killed the tie there, but the Molde goalkeeper keeping him in it.
Big chance indeed. Thank you very much, KL. 1-0 still to Mould in that game. If Granada can get another goal in this match, it will kill the tie off. But Mould, 20 minutes left of that match, could see them getting back into it. Very, very good tie on paper, though, with how it's panned out so far. Said 1-0 still in that match. Arsenal 0, Olympiacos 1, still coming forward here, the home side, desperately trying to get a goal in this game to kill the tie off. But to me, right now, I've got to say, the second half has not been good enough from Arsenal. And this is why I completely understand what you were saying earlier, Kyle, with the whole thing with why you don't think Arsenal can win this competition. It's one of them where they just haven't been good enough in this game. And Olympiacos, the more that this game goes on, you feel like they could just go and get another goal very soon and really get themselves back into the match. But we're going over to Kieran because there was a moment ago, there was a chance. Now there's a goal. Who's it to?
It's Granada. The tie might be over. And it's the man who was deemed to have won them the tie in the first leg. Roberto Soldado is on the score sheet again. The ball is on the left-hand side. It's an in-swinging cross from Yangel Herrera. And you know what Soldado is in front of goal? He flicks it at the near post towards the back post. It's too powerful for the goalkeeper, and it's a really good header. And now he may have killed the tie. It's Soldado on the score sheet, and Granada, the first timers, through to the quarterfinals at this rate.
Thank you very much, Kieran. There we go. First time in the Europa League ever, and they might be about to make the quarterfinals of the competition. If you're a Granada fan, who would have thought that at the start of the season? Incredible run from the Spaniards, and it looks like Mould's fairy tale story is about to end. And look, one of the fairy tale stories of the competition was going to end tonight. But at the same time, give credit to both teams for the way that they've come to this competition. Mould probably never expected to make it to this stage. Unbelievable result against Hoffenheim. Really giving Granada an incredible 2 legs, even with 10 men for a large part of that first leg. But in the end, it looks like the quality of Granada is going to be a little bit too much, and veterans unite once again. Soldado on the score sheet. Maybe Tottenham need him right now with their game to bag a goal in their match. But another good goal for Roberto Soldado in the Europa League, and he finds himself in a brilliant, brilliant position to put Granada into the quarterfinals. I mean, you seriously got to start looking at them now and thinking they're not going to be easy to face. I've got to say, I'd love to see Villarreal against Granada in the next round for an all-Spanish tie. But, of course, we'll have to see with tonight's games going on, which, don't forget, will be straight after these fixtures. So stick about on the channel literally a minute or two after we finish being live tonight. You'll be able to join Katie and Rowan, who are going to be hosting the evening section of the show. But don't worry, myself and Kyle will still be there. We'll be watching. I'll be watching Kiev against Villarreal. And Kieran will be watching Young Boys, who were up against Ajax. Ajax 3-0 up in their game. Villarreal at home tonight, they are 2-0 up. So once again, 2 matches looking pretty likely to be finished, but never say never, as Kyle has put. Yes, Olympiacos do need to score 2 to cancel out Arsenal's away goals. So still a lot of work to do here for the Greek side. But look, I don't think they're going to get it, if I'm being honest with you. They need something soon to give them any kind of hope of confidence and belief to go and get that one other goal. But I just don't think they've got the players up top to be able to do it. I think there's a little bit too much reliance on El Arabi, which is understandable. He is their potent striker at the very least. They're not the most quality side in terms of the attackers they've got, if we're being honest with you. They're not blessed with incredible players across the board. But look, if they can get a goal in the next 5 or so minutes, then we're talking. We get excited if there's another goal in this game. But in terms of total attempts, there's been 7 attempts for each side. Arsenal just starting to, yes, get a little bit more of the ball in the game, but you just really want to see something happen in this match soon. It's a case of you'd love to see Olympiacos come back, especially not if you're an Arsenal fan. You definitely don't want to see them come back, but for a neutral, you want to see a bit of excitement tonight, because now we've gone from that excitement, and as the games have gone on, a little bit of a dwindle. I mean, Mould, of course, Kieran not happy with Granada getting back into that game. We want to see Mould go through, but it's really looking more likely that if one game's going to have a bit of excitement, it's going to be Zagreb and Tottenham. Remember, Zagreb only need 1 more goal in that game if they want to take that match to extra time. Tottenham, of course, scoring 2 goals last week at home in their game. If Zagreb can get another one on the board, then it will be extra time in that match, and Adam will have another half an hour of football to watch, which, look, if it's an interesting game and the game's improved over time, I don't think he'll be complaining as such, but still a few more goals in it, don't you, before the end of the match. But Arsenal looking to come forward here as we've had a substitution in the Granada game. Gonalons has come off the pitch and Atiki has come on. So the experienced Frenchman, who has certainly been around the block in the last few years, comes off the pitch for what will no doubt be a pretty good night for Spain in the Europa League. But Cal, if Arsenal and Tottenham went out and United played great and won, maybe this would be Ole's time to win a trophy. Who knows? Who knows? Could be interesting indeed. But we've had a goal in one of the other games tonight. It's the game that Will has been keeping his eye on tonight. His stream has been crashing, but he has just put in the chat, Roma have made it 2-1 in their game. It's now 5-1 on aggregate in that match. Borja Mayoral with his second goal in that game. And you're looking at it now, and of course that game was pretty much done and dusted after Roma scored their first goal of the night. But realistically, could be a good night for Borja Mayoral. Second goal of the evening, but as expected, game has gone exactly how I thought, assisted by other Spaniard, Carlos Perez. So Roma there, coming out what we should realistically be another pretty decent win on the board. So fair play to them. Good result in the end for Roma. As I said, still can't believe it's the first ever time that they'll have made the Europa League quarterfinals. I think you always look at them as a team and you think, they've made the latter stages of the competition. And look, they made the latter stages of the Champions League, hence why they've not really made it to the late stage of this competition. But you would have thought they'd have been in this competition a few times in the past. So to only ever reach the quarterfinals for the first time this year is staggering, in my opinion. And for me, look, Roma are one of those sides where they've got some great players on the team. I think they could be a little bit of an outsider shout to win it. I think they're very organised. They're always one of those teams that do well in competitions. But I think a few years ago, they made the Champions League quarter semis. I think it was the time when they played Liverpool and they lost quite valiantly in the end against Liverpool. But I just don't think that they're going to go on and win it. But never say never. That's all I'll say. Never say never, because it's looking like, with the way that it's panning out, we're going to have a very, very good quarterfinals in terms of who's left in this competition. As Arsenal have a chance here to get a goal in the game, and it's Odegaard, and how's he skied it? It really should be 1-1 in this match. The Norwegian there just putting way too much power on the shot, and I'm just seeing the chance now. It's Nicolas Pepe, does very well, cuts on into his right foot, plays the ball into the middle to Odegaard. It actually comes off one of the defenders in the end. I think it's Holobas. And then the slight bounce on the ball, I think, just puts Odegaard off from being able to put the best shot on target. And it just goes high and wide and out of play for a goal kick. So a little bit of a shame there. Arsenal fans will still be worried. But 2 goals needed for Olympiacos. 3-0 looking pretty unlikely, if I've got to admit, with about 14 minutes left of this game. Although they're coming forward here, Olympiacos. Going to be a really poor ball into the path of Kamara. I think it was the substitute there trying to get the... I think it was Rangelovic in the end who tried to play the ball in, but it's poor. And I think dreams are starting to fade away is probably the best way to put it right now for Olympiacos, as time slowly becomes the biggest enemy of the club rather than Arsenal themselves. But just to give you an update across the board, Mold 1, Granada 1 is the current score of that match right now. 3-1 on aggregate to the Spanish side. Roma with a 2-1 lead over Shakhtar Donetsk. 5-1 on aggregate, so the Italian side going through to the next round. Zagreb with a 1-0 lead over Tottenham Hotspur. Mislav Orsic with a screamer. He's going to have to bring some more magic, because if Zagreb get one more, that game will go to extra time. And as for Olympiacos, they need 2 goals in this match to give them any hope of going through to the next round. Of course, Arsenal scoring 3 in the first leg might have done them some pretty good favours. And when I look at it in that respect, I think some questions kind of has to be asked at Jose Sá last week, because there were 2 goals that he should have probably saved, one from El Neni and one from Martin Odegaard, that he probably shouldn't have had in the back of his net. And had those 2 goals not gone in, it would have been a very, very different story indeed. But I guess you can't look back at the past right now. All that matters is Olympiacos are still a little bit in this game. As Lee's put, Zagreb are doing it. I told you. They need 1 more, and then we're going to extra time. But Arsenal coming forward here. Nicolas Pepe's for 1 goal, and he tries to curl the ball into the bottom left-hand corner. And yet again, on what kind of feels like it's not going to be Nicolas Pepe's night. It's just a chance wasted from the Ivorian. But now Olympiacos on the counter-attack here. It's going to be a long ball from Fortunis. Plays it down to the right-hand side of the pitch with Rangelovic. What can he do here? Really needs to get Olympiacos moving in this game. Now it's Kamara who goes down. Referee gives a free kick. And it's going to be a decent position to maybe whip this into the box for Olympiacos. Get another goal now on the scoreboard, and there'll be some Arsenal fans quaking in their boots. But I think they're going to need something very special and very quick if they want to do that. But we're just seeing that chance from Pepe again. He's onside. I think, look, he's had a few good chances in this game, maybe missed a few too many, as I think the free kick's going to be retaken. I don't think the referee had actually blown his whistle, and Kamara might have just heard something. But free kick here might do them some favours because that free kick wasn't actually looking too good. And Kamara walks away from the ball. It's going to be a chance this time for it to be whipped in by Fortunis. So Fortunis whips the ball into the box. It's actually going to come towards Holebas, still in the area, but Odegaard will hoof the ball away, and that should surely allow Arsenal just a chance to breathe for a second and try and get themselves back on the attack again. And they will do. It's going to be Holebas. He's now occupying the left-back position. Lovely ball in, but in the end, it doesn't come to anyone, and the ball eventually goes out of play. Actually, no, it doesn't. Kept in play, and now Arsenal coming on the attack, and this is a brilliant chance. Aubameyang here. He's going to be on one-on-one with the keeper. Really good chance for Gabonese forward. Still going, and he's missed it. Oh, I mean, I don't know whether we're going to have a case of deja vu tonight, but this is a real example of the lack of confidence Aubameyang has had this season, because he has to be burying this. He's one-on-one with the keeper. Yenan Villa's trying to track back, and he tries to chip Jose Sarr, and it's just awful. It's a really, really awful miss in the end. It's nowhere near the goal, and it goes out of play for a goal kick, and you have to say, how has he missed it? I mean, Aubameyang has pretty much got his hands in the air, but I've seen him. You've gone up. Has there been a goal?
Well,
it's 2-0.
Guess who we got?
Orsic
again, top left corner this time.
Another screamer.
Hey, it's not much of a screamer this time, but yeah, thank God. Thank God.
I mean, the question is now, what does Zagreb do? Do they take this to extra time, or they go for the win?
I think go for the win because they've got momentum. So it was looking like Spurs would just, be fine and they'd see out the game. But wow, 2-2. Did not expect that at all.
No, and do you know what? I've got to give you some credit because the speed of you putting in goal there is as quick as KL is. The reaction to jump out of your seat and type is admirable indeed. But thank you very much, Adam. We were going to get something tonight, and I think we might have got the shock we wanted. Dinamo Zagreb. We said Croatia's a hostile place to go, and it might be a very unforgettable night for Tottenham. They're 2-0 down, and there's a red card in this game. And I think Olympiacos are down to 10 men. They are indeed. Kamara's off, but Aubameyang's missing sitters, but it doesn't matter because Olympiacos night has just gone from being a moment of hope to a moment of disarray. And it's Barr who's been sent off in the end here. And it's the right decision. It is pretty much similar to what we saw last night in the Atletico Madrid game. A shoulder, this time into the face of, I think it was Kieran Tierney. And the referee has no choice but to give Barr his second yellow in the match. And Olympiacos now down to 10 men. And you would assume now that is pretty much the Greeks out of this competition. Because with 10 men, there is no way you can see them scoring 2 goals. But what a opportunity for Dinamo Zagreb to get themselves through to the next round of the competition. There's 7 minutes left of that game. Barr is in tears, by the way, at being sent off. So he's really distraught about the situation, which is, of course, going to be a real disappointing moment for Olympiacos, just as they thought they might have a chance to get back into this game. But can Zagreb do it? As it stands, that game will go into extra time if it stays as it is. So Adam might be sticking with us for a little bit more time in a bit. But let's go over to Kieran L because there's been a chance of the game between Molde and Granada. Who's had that chance?
It was Mulder again, and this, if they'd have scored here, I may have started believing, Josh. Magnus Wolf-Eichram had it on the right-hand side, and there was, floods of people getting into the box. He picked out the right man at the back stick. It was Knudsen, and he's literally just got to head it down towards the goalkeeper. Decides to try and head it across goal to one of his teammates, and it just completely misses it up. And it's as we said, Josh, if Mulder were the clinical side we saw in the second leg against Hoffenheim, they could have had a chance in this one, but it's still 1-1 in it. If that goes in, they might have a chance, but I think it's all over now.
It's like it is, isn't it? Which is a bit of a shame, but thank you very much indeed, KL. Bar still on the touchline here in floods of tears. I think one of the staff members is trying to give him a head massage just to try and calm him down. I don't think I've ever seen anybody when someone's been crying giving him a head massage, but that seems to be the tactic Olympiacos going for here. Because look, at the end of the day, it's the right decision from the referee. He has to give him a yellow card for it, which means he's sent off, and he knows how detrimental this is to the game as Ryabchuk's come off and Lala's come on. He knows he's kind of cost his team a little bit, but let's not forget, at the end of the day, Olympiacos still needed 2 goals in this match. It was always going to be tough for them to go out there and get 1 in this game with Arsenal. They're not the most convincing side right now, Arsenal, with how they've played. But it was always going to be tough. But he might have cost his team. He's still on the touchline, by the way, in floods of tears. He's watching on, I think, just from towards as he's heading into the stands. He's just watching on now to see what goes on for the rest of the match. But there's nothing he can do. It's all down to the rest of the 10 men on the pitch for Olympiacos to try and score 2 more. But all eyes fixated on Zagreb against Tottenham. The reaction, as I said, the speed. It was laid back, Adam, and I don't think I've ever seen anybody as quicker as Adam, maybe KL, for the reaction to get up and move and type goal, because we've had another yellow card in this game. But I think I genuinely don't know what to say. I don't know what's going to happen in that match. It's unpredictable. Tottenham have got to go for it now. Zagreb will be feeling like they can go on and win it. And I'll tell you one thing, I've got my clicker primed and ready on Adam just in case, because if Zagreb score a screamer or another goal in that game, I'd assume Adam's chair is going flying up in the air and there'll be some celebrations in his room, no doubt, if Zagreb can pull off the most probably surprising comeback of them all. When you look at the 4 games, I think there was a few people doubting Arsenal because of past results. Olympiacos last year getting an incredible result against them, winning the game in extra time. Shakhtar looked very out of reach anyway, being 3-0 down. That one looked tough. The Mol-Granada game, I could take exception to. But he's typing in the chat. I think there might be, I'm going to guess here, penalty?
I think so. I think it's a penalty to Mulder.
Oh.
And it's a great driving run by Knudsen. And Yanni Tiki, the substitute, has come over from behind and just taken him out. And it's definitely a bad tackle. And if Tiki gets yellowed, he's actually going to miss the second leg. But that's a definite penalty. I don't know what he's doing. And that's, you take off the experienced Gonalons, you bring on a Tiki, and the gamble's not paid off. It's the 89th minute, Josh. And I can't see who's standing over it at the moment. I'll just get the numbers up.
Massive moment in the game, though, this.
It might be Hedsas, I think, could be stepping up, but I'll find out for you. As with a minute to go, Mulder could get the chance to be 1 goal away from going through. Hedstadt stands up, chips it down the middle. We're game on with a minute to go.
Now, the question on the lips of, I think, every Mould fan is how much extra time do you think there'll be here?
I'm hoping 4, just to make it interesting. But, I think they didn't have any added time for the first half. So if they combine the 2, it's, I think, 4. I'd go with 4 minutes myself. But Hedstadt, beautiful penalty. Puts it down the middle, calm as you like. And I just have a feeling there's one big opportunity left in this game. I don't know why.
Let's hope you've not jinxed it. Thank you very much, Kieran. There are now 2 games in the balance. If Mould can get another goal in that match, they will be going through to the next round. Whoever scores in this game between Zagreb and Tottenham will be going through to the next round if there is a winner. If not, that game will be going to extra time, which means no doubt I think Adam will be sticking about for the other stream. We'll have to just quickly jump him in there. But still, there's time left in that match. How is your nerves if you're a Mold fan? Because you are one goal away from going through and knocking out Granada in a game which has had its ups and downs. It's been a topsy-turvy match, this one, and it's looking like it might have maybe one or two more moments, depending on how things pan out. As for Zagreb-Tottenham, I'm going to try and see with both games how much added time is left in the matches. There are 3 minutes of additional time left in the Mold game. The Zagreb-Tottenham game has, I believe, I'm trying to find out, no real talk of how much additional time there is in that game. I'll find out eventually at some point with that one. But are we going to see a last-minute chance? 3 minutes of added time in that Zagreb-Tottenham game. Thank you very much, Adam. So both games, well and truly, in the balance with a few probably minutes left, maybe a minute and a half, as Arsenal Olympiacos is looking pretty much done and dusted. Mason put, if Mold scores, Granada is going to the next round either. They have to score 2. Oh, is KL got confused here? Hands on head moment.
Yeah, away goals. Granada, Mold didn't get an away goal, did they?
There you go.
Fuming.
Disappointing. There we go. Mason has put a dampen in the spirits there of Kieran. He's put the water on the flames. You are right indeed. I think KL there getting a little bit, of course, excited, which is what I'd like to see. But we're going over to Adam. Free kick Spurs. Is it the last kick of the match?
It's 1 minute into additional time. It's Bale standing over it. He's just come on. It's quite a way out, to be fair, but it's probably gonna be the last chance of the game, isn't it? So if this goes in, that
might be a chance for you to send the chair into space if this goes in.
Out the window. Goes for it. Oh no, too far out.
Unlucky. Hopefully, a few more chances before it finishes. Thank you very much, Adam. I'm jumping back over to KL because there's been another moment in his game. What's happened now, Kieran?
I'll tell you what, it wasn't even like a Mulder chance or anything. Kennedy took strike from 30 yards and it bent and it hit the crossbar. I thought it had gone in. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm a bit disappointed that I forgot about away goals. It's a crap rule anyway. But that goal by Kennedy would have made it all worth it because he nearly scored from about 30 yards.
Well, what a goal that would have been. Thank you very much, KL, indeed. As it stands, Spurs Zagreb is going to extra time. And also, of course, Mold still going out. They needed 2 goals in this game. Mason putting the water on the fire there for KL. You know what? At the end of the day, we love the passion on the table today. As it's full time in the game between Mold and Granada. And as he fought with a few seconds left of the game, he thought they had a chance for them to come back in the match. But in the end, too little, too late, Kieran. 2-1 to Mold on the night, a win for them, but not enough to go through to the next round.
Yeah, do you know what? To be fair, for the tournament these two teams have had, I think Mold will be happy. Kind of a shining light at the end of the tunnel. They win this second leg. And it just wasn't enough on the day. I think over the 2 legs, Granada had the more quality of the 2 sides. And for the first timers, they'll be happy to go through. And as we said earlier, the experienced strikers of Soldado and Molina have just about done enough to get the Spanish side through. It'll be interesting to see who they come up against in the next round. But a valiant effort from Mulder tonight. But I think quality has shone through.
Very valiant indeed. Thank you very much, KL. 3 goals on the night. Can't complain. Probably the best game on paper. Mold, well, actually, I'm saying best game on paper. Probably second best. Mold, of course, being knocked out, but valiant effort from 2 teams that were the fairy tale teams of the tournament left in. Zagreb are going to extra time against Tottenham. Adam, I think at the start of the night, we were sat here saying it was going to be a hard task for them, but Mislav Orsic, the hero, 2 goals to his name. You've got another half an hour.
I know, they've done it. I'm hoping it goes to penalty. I love a good penalty shootout. So I'm hoping it just stays as it is. But yeah, I'm shocked. I can't believe they've done it. Like, they didn't even look like good. Like, in the game, they just scored 2 goals out of nowhere.
No, honestly.
Spurs and the Spurs will be so disappointed with that.
Yeah, they will be. And the question is, what do Spurs do now? Because the momentum is going to be with Zagreb, Tottenham on the back stick. They're away from home.
Well,
can they do it?
Since Zagreb scored, they've all of a sudden started to try to attack again, which is be tough for them because all game they've been trying to sit back, and then all of a sudden they've got to go out and attack, so they won't be used to it. And I think I honestly seems like we're getting a win here. Definitely.
We'll have to find out. You've got another half an hour, so we'll bring you in, of course, on the stream in a second. Very best of luck. If anything else goes on, chuck it in the chat and we'll bring him in, of course. It is also full-time, I believe, in the match between Shakhtar and Roma. Will, very unlucky tonight. I think his stream was going down for large chunks of it, which meant in the end he wasn't able to watch all of the match. But I don't think he really missed much in the end, considering that Roma did win it 5-1 on aggregate, a good result for them in the end, as Arsenal and Olympiacos is about to hit full-time. Arsenal through to the next round of the competition, and Olympiacos, who, of course, got the job done last year against the Premier League side, will not get the job done this year. The Greek side are going out of the competition, but do you know what? Give them credit. It's a valiant effort from them to get themselves this far. And Arsenal go through to the next round, as Will's internet has gone for a second. He's back now. But what a night of action overall. I mean, if I don't know whether Will was able to watch a great deal of it. If he was, then I'll bring him in a second. But what a brilliant night of action. And the night is still very, very young indeed. Don't forget, we are literally going to be live in about 5 minutes' time. Milan taking on Manchester United, Rangers Slavia Prague. Also, they'll be looking at extra time of Zagreb Tottenham, which means I'll probably have to sit on the back burner for half an hour, and then I'll jump in the stream to cover the rest of Kiev Villarreal. So do stick around for that. That'll be KD and Rowan hosting that with Adam and KL and myself in the background. Friday morning A-League watch-along, Western Sydney Wanderers coming up against Perth Glory. Are we going to see another thriller? We'll have to find out indeed. And then after that, we've got the Champions League and Europa League draw for the quarters and semi-finals. Saturday night sees Schalke taking on Gladbach in the Bundesliga. You can join KL Live. There's going to be a lot of passion for that game, no doubt, with both teams in pretty bad form. And don't forget, if you haven't got yourself down for the UCL FIFA Sim tournament, there are 2 spaces left for this competition. It will be taking place between the 26th and the 29th of March. There's going to be cash/gift card prizes for the first, second, and third place teams. You don't need a FIFA, you don't need an Xbox or a PlayStation. Each game is going to be simmed with a fair chance. And of course, do place your name in the comments, and I will add you to the list for that tournament. 2 spots left, so get your name down if you haven't already. If you haven't checked out our social media too, please do. Our social media links are at @the_top corner, which is our Twitter, and our Instagram is @the_sports corner_. Do and go and check those out to see when we go live on YouTube, as well as when we put up articles on our website, which is the sports-corner.com. If you haven't checked it out, it's on the screen for you now. Lots of content available if you want to quickly read before the game kicks off on how Slavia Prague can overcome Rangers. Then Rowan wrote that piece up early this morning. Well worth checking that out. And there's a whole host of other pieces. So if you're into NFL, if you're into football, if you're into rugby, we cover all different sports on there, as we do on the Sports Corner. But as it stands, full-time across the board in tonight's fixtures, Mold are out, Granada through, Roma through to the next round, 5-1 against Shakhtar, Zagreb Tottenham going to extra time, and Arsenal through to the next round. I'm going to bring in the boys very quickly. I know Adam's not in his seat right now, so I'll obviously say a big thank you to Adam. He is gone, of course, probably getting a few drinks ready for the second half, first half of action. But overall, Kieran, 3 goals tonight. Not a bad game overall.
No, not bad. Just got a little bit overexcited towards the end there. Thinking Mulder could maybe do it, but overall, I think it was just a really fun game to watch between 2 sides that I think you could tell had it all to play for in this tournament. And happy for Granada, because obviously it's nice to see a new team do well.
Absolutely, and obviously Will didn't get to see a great deal of what was going on in his match tonight, but Shakhtar going out of the tournament, he'll be a little bit disappointed that Manor Solomon is out of the competition. He turned his mic on for a second there. I thought he was going to say something, but Will, in terms of Shakhtar's performance, if you are there,
sorry, mate. I'm having some.
I think that might sum it up.
Sorry, mate. I'm having some technical difficulties. It's fair to say.
No, it's all good, lad. I'll keep you in, but
my internet is awful, mate.
It's all good, lad. It's all good, lad. But no, once again, massive thank you to Kale.
My internet just keeps.
I think you can tell. Massive thank you to KL, Will, and Adam. Don't forget, Adam and KL, they're going to be in the next stream. It's in about, 3 or 4 minutes' time. I'll be in the stream in about half an hour's time, so do stick about, and we'll see you guys in about 5 minutes' time. But Reese has put the last comment in the stream. Just popped in to say Spurs are bottle jobs, and I hope the stream is going well. Goodbye. We'll see you in 5 minutes.